Uh-oh, YouTube's been messed up. I haven't been paying attention. There's been so much going on the last couple days. Like, insane amounts of stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene admits that there's no 5D chess, that QAnon's all bullshit, and she's retiring. But I need to look this up and verify this. Hold on. I feel like Marjorie Taylor Greene is leaving. What date is she retiring on? I looked this up earlier, but I was trying to do the math in my head. So let me see. Yeah, so she's going to have... She's literally going to... She's serving 2 more days than it takes for her to be eligible for the Congress pension plan. If she was really upset and really mad at the system and really was like, fuck this place, she would retire today. But on January 3rd of 2026, she'll be fully vested and qualified for pension, retirement for the rest of her life. Congress retirement. You have to serve at least 5 years. And she started on January 3rd, 2021. So on January 3rd, 2026, plus 2 days. You never quit on the day. This is like a government thing. Like, you never quit on the day or even the day after. You always give yourself what they call buffer days, just in case the paperwork didn't get put in on the first day, whatever, right? So she's going to serve 2 extra days. She'll be fully vested and draw a retirement check. I don't know. It depends on how much she earned and all this stuff back. But at the age of 62, it'll probably be an extra, I don't know, $60,000. The way they do it is they average your 3 highest earning years, your 3 highest, it's called a high 3 salary. and then they divide that by 3. So they take all 3 of them, add them up, they divide it by 3, and that's what you draw on. She won't be eligible for it till she's 62, but a lot of people do this. They'll have like a retirement from their factory job, a retirement from their construction job, a retirement from Congress. So when she retires and has like 5 fucking retirements, she'll be getting a shit ton of money. If she really wanted to stand on principle, she'd leave today, or she'd leave on January 1st. She has money. She does have money. She's not destitute. Who was the member of Congress that was just recently elected, and they had to like crowdfund money for like her address for her inauguration or whatever, or like AOC said that she would help her buy her outfit or some shit. That happened recently, didn't it?
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. This is what it says. In 2002, Green's father sold Taylor Commercial, an Alpharetta, Georgia-based contracting company. That's where she always claims that she worked in construction. Company that he founded, to Green and her husband, Perry. As of 2019, Green and Perry were the company's vice president and president, respectively. So they probably got some type of retirement plan from that. Green was listed as a chief financial officer of Taylor Commercial from 2007 to 2011, but a 2021 Atlanta Journal-Constitution investigation determined that she had no significant presence at the company. So she's just like a figurehead that draws a paycheck. In 2011, Green stepped down as the company's CFO and began CrossFit training. By 2012, Green worked as a part-time coach at Alpharetta CrossFit Gym. In 2013, she opened a CrossFit Passion in Alpharetta with Travis Mayer, a CrossFit athlete. Green left the business in early 2017. In a 2015 interview, Green said she and Mayer knew little about how to run a business when they started. Green has said that she became politically engaged in the 2016 Republican Party presidential primaries. She got, I do think, I will give her this. She admits like she was brainwashed, basically. She says there is no 4D chess going on. There is no this. There is no secret plan to save the world. She went on The View, and when they asked her about like, hey, what about the crazy stuff? She said, I was a victim. I don't know how much a victim, but at least she's admitting like, I was brainwashed. I believed the stuff on social media. I believed the stuff that the talking head said. I believed all that, and it's just not true. In 2017, she began writing for the now defunct American Truth Seekers, a conspiracy news website which published 59 articles by Green. In January 2018, she started writing for Law Enforcement Today, a pro-police fake news website, which featured 27 articles Green authored. In 2017, Green visited Washington, D.C. to protest against Republican gun control compromise. So she wrote as a journalist, I guess, for 2 different fake websites. Green was a top official of the Family America Project, a conservative group founded in January 2018. She was a moderator of the organization's Facebook group. In that group, members posted death threats against Democrats, bigotry directed at the Obamas, and support for multiple conspiracy theories, including claims associated with the John Birch Society about the U.S. government being infiltrated by communists. In February 2019, Green visited the U.S. Capitol and congressional offices. In a live stream video Green posted on Facebook, she is seen outside Representative AOC's office, calling through the mail slot for AOC to unlock the door and have and face an American citizens that you serve. She also asserted that AOC should get rid of her diaper. Green also referred to AOC's office as a daycare center. Oh, I guess because she's young. When visiting the office of the representatives Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, Green falsely claimed that they were not official representatives because they were sworn into Congress on the Quran. In the video, Green said that she wanted Omar and Tlaib to instead be sworn in on the Bible and accused the two representatives of supporting the Islamic law. So that's how she got her start. She wrote she was basically nobody at a construction company to draw a salary. Then she went into CrossFit with some CrossFit athlete. Then she started writing for fake news websites, literal fake news websites. Then she went Facebook live stream and yelled at some people that we don't want you dirty Muslims here. Then she decided she was going to run. Having originally announced her intention to run in Georgia's 7th Congressional District, Green instead began her campaign in the 6th District where she resided. On June 4, 2019, she stated her commitment to balance the federal budget and restrain Congress from using constitutional power to spend more money, adding, quote, "If we look at our country as our household, we're going to go under foreclosure because we're overspending." Green also criticized her expected primary opponent, former U.S. Representative Karen Handel, for supporting the large omnibus spending bills and a series of electoral losses. She's lost 7 races in her entire political career. She steps down from the seats that she does win so she can campaign for something else. Basically, I would call her a professional campaigner, but she loses. Jesus Christ, this woman's crazy. Anyways, if you haven't heard, she is 2 days after being fully vested for her retirement, she is leaving Congress. Here's her little message here.
My children's generation. Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars.
I'm telling you, a lot of times elections, especially like congressional elections and local elections, statewide elections, a lot of times elections are name recognition. Okay? If you can go viral and, you're in an area, let's say you're in a red area or blue area, and you go viral and you kind of support that thing. If you're red, you have to support Trump. And if you're blue, you have to be anti-Trump. And you can go viral. Even if it's locally viral, just like people from like Northeast Tennessee know me or something. You're going to win. They just go and they are like, oh, I've heard that name before, and people vote for it.
Always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever.
Dude, I don't know about your children's generation. I feel fucking hopeless. Like, fuck. All I want's a goddamn house.
Ever realize the American dream, and that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to.
There was something else about her run. She didn't end up running in the 6th or 7th district. She ended up moving to like, I already closed the page, but something weird happened and someone near her announced they weren't seeking re-election. So she ended up moving there, and it was like the 15th district or some shit, 14th, 15th. I don't remember. But she ended up moving there and winning that election.
Fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders. I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time. And we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster, but instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama.
I do agree with her on that. Like, the House just fucking left, right? And then the Senate was just supposed to vote on their bill or nothing. That's crazy. They should have all been there. And there ought to be some type of, like, especially when we're like a situation like a shutdown because of an impasse, there ought to be like a mandated, like, had the leaders of both parties had to be locked in a room to negotiate or speak to each other for at least 4 hours a day. And everybody has to be present to negotiate.
Drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many.
But to send them home and be like, well, they'll either pass our bill or nothing will pass, send them all home. And then Mike Johnson to have the fucking balls to come up and say, oh, they're back in their districts doing the most important work they'll do as fucking politicians or what. Bullshit. They were all on vacation.
President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas. Just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media, obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow.
I think a couple things. I think either legit she's done, right, and she's going to go do social media, probably make a shit ton of money, right, or she doesn't want what's coming next, right? Which is Trump, like, pushing her out, making her outsider, campaigning against her, smear tactics. But I'm sure she doesn't want that, right? She would rather have Trump support her because that's what she's always been about. Or she thinks she can break off a chunk of MAGA to go with her, and she'll try to use this to propel her popularity. I'm sure there are fucking managers and shit like that around her saying, you could really propel this to the moon, potentially.
Follow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and no food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to
thanks, Westbound.
Holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford.
She might roll this into like a governor or something. You know what I mean? Like, if she breaks off a significant portion, rolls that into a podcast, like, her publicists have to know this, right? Like, there's a chance you can break these people. Because I've seen TikToks today saying, I voted for Trump and I support Trump, but what the fuck's he doing calling MTG a traitor? Like, all she wanted was the Epstein. So she does have some support. And if she plays this just right, she may be hated by Trump, but she may be able to roll that into, he only hates me because of this, and I'm taking care of the people in Georgia or whatever, and maybe roll into a mayor or something like that, or I'm sorry, a governor or something like that. Who knows? Apparently in Tennessee, the place to be is fucking a school board director. I just found a school board director lying about his military service, I personally think. And, he's making more. His new pay package is going to be more than the governor of Tennessee makes. He's a school board director in a county and his pay package is going to be more than the governor of Tennessee makes.
Afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents.
I think when she says, I think she's a woman scorned, right? My hope is she doesn't fall back under Trump and they make friends and shake hands and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't sound that way. When she talks about being like a battered woman or an abused woman or whatever, I think that she's basically throwing her lot in, that she's like not going to play along anymore, like prices are low and everything's fine and Trump's the best.
As he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York.
Millions of her own money she spent. Come on. She spent political donations.
Courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will
also, I think it probably personally hurt her. Like she can be like cold and uncaring and cutthroat, right, for her own ends. But I do think it hurt her that she's not invited to any of the White House. Like she was uninvited from all the White House holiday stuff. That's kind of a slap in the face.
Never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs.
Right. He should have kept this crazy happy, for sure. But I swear, Trump's doing so much blatant shit, it's like he doesn't even care anymore, right? Like, I think Steve Bannon said it right. If all he cares about is making money and winning the next set of elections, the midterm elections. Because if they lose the midterm elections, people are going to jail. Rightfully so. Steve Bannon says it like an ominous thing, like they'll make fake cases against us and blah, blah, blah. But no, like they've committed crimes. Some of them are going to jail. A lot of them are going to jail.
AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars.
I don't know a lot about her district, but how bad is it going to be if Trump made an enemy and also it flips that area blue?
And demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president.
I'll be right back. I got to grab another bottle of water.
It should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God who created everything in existence. You see, I have never...
I think her and Candace may have had beef in the past, right?
...valued power, titles, or attention in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. with that has brought years of nonstop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played.
There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. That was her only, between this and her little thing about on The View when they asked her about QAnon, that's the best we're going to get.
When common American people realize and understand that the industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And
January 5th, and she started on January 1st, 2021. That's exactly 5 years and 2 days. I look
forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
When I say retirement, I don't mean like she's going to get a check right then. But she's vested. So when she gets to retirement age, that's when she's going to draw her check. And maybe she's stacking them. Maybe she's got one through, her gym because she paid herself as owner manager, and she's got one through the construction company, and God knows where else she's worked at. But that'd be nice that she gets that, I don't know, $60,000 to $80,000 in retirement when she turns 62, obviously. We'll see. And she also put out an official statement. It's exactly the same. Everything. She just read this, basically. I don't see a difference. If you want to support the show, let's see. Where is the link? If you want to support the show, you can do it at the new website. I forgot that I changed the website. Now I don't have the link on me. But that's okay. I'll grab it. There it is. It's the Just Quick Tools link. But here it is. If you want to support the show, you can do it there. Thank you very much. Mother Jones put out a piece, basically. Put out a piece basically saying all about Riley Gaines. Okay, this is the website I was just talking about. It's just links. It's simple right now until I fix the other one. Anyways, Mother Jones put out a piece about Riley Gaines. And it basically just, all these influencers are just fucking grifters, dude. Like, it's so, I don't even think Riley Gaines believes any of this shit. Like, they talked to some of her former teammates, and they're like, well, she wasn't even into politics, blah, blah, blah. It basically, she just happened to tie for 5th place with a trans person, and these gigantic organizations that were campaigning against trans, they were making trans the issue. Those gigantic organizations came to her and basically just fucking threw money at her. Just threw money at her. I'll read you a portion of it. How right-wing superstar Riley Gaines built an anti-trans empire. The swimmer tied a trans woman for 5th. So she was beat by 4 non-trans people. Like, it wasn't like it knocked her out of it. It's insane. The MAGA industrial complex took care of the rest. At a White House ceremony last February, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to defund schools if they permit transgender girls to play girls' sports. He turned and looked over his shoulder. Behind him stood former college swimmer Riley Gaines, wearing a suffragette white in a crowd of young female athletes and conservative activists. You've been waiting a long time for this, Trump told the 24-year-old. Almost 3 years, to be exact, since tying for 5th place in March of 2022 championship race against a transgender swimmer Leah Thomas. Gaines has used the story of their matchup to leap to the vanguard of the anti-trans movement, campaigning not just to ban trans women from women's sports, but to end the public acceptance of transgender people. Gaines joined the political fray just as 14 states had already enacted restrictions on trans athletes, and 4 more were on the verge of doing the same. With backing from the GOP donors like the Amway billionaires, the DeVosses, right? Betty DeVos. She has crisscrossed the country with a simple message. Women's sports need saving from men, that is, transgender girls and women. It's just the timing was right, and they found somebody to make it into a superstar. But it's all a grift. Like, I don't even know if they fucking believe this. And again, someone is paying her hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, making her famous, amplifying her message, the DeVos family and others, over what equates to like, I don't know, 10 people in the whole fucking country? Other than it being this hot button cancel culture issue. Why? Why spend millions of dollars collectively, these groups, over like 10, 12 athletes in the whole fucking country? Because they know it has people come out to vote. What? Men are trying to beat up my daughter. Right? It's insane. No matter that the NCAA president said in 2024 that less than 0.0002% of college athletes at the time were openly transgender, the percentage of Olympians is about the same. Gaines and her allies argue that trans athletes are stealing opportunities from every woman and girl who competes with them. Alongside other athletes, she filed federal lawsuit against the NCAA seeking to ban trans girls from school sports nationwide, arguing that trans-inclusive policies are a form of discrimination against women. She's a perfect message, says Roni Schreiber, a political science professor at San Diego State University who studies women in the conservative movement. Even voters who generally support transgender people, Schreiber adds, are still a little anxious about the trans athlete thing. Indeed, before Gaines arrived on the scene, right-wing politicos had sought for years to draw attention to transgender women in sports, a poll-tested wedge issue to stoke anti-trans outrage among voters across the political spectrum. Leah Thomas, tall and unapologetic, was the villain they'd been waiting for, and Gaines, feminine, poised, outspoken, the ideal victim. Within months of her race against Thomas, Trump was summoning Gaines on stage at CPAC. Where's our beautiful, great swimmer, he said, within a few months of the loss. Thanks in large part to Gaines, trans athletes became the reddest of red meat issues during the 2024 presidential election. With the Trump campaign pouring money into a brutally effective attack ad declaring Kamala is for they, them, President Trump is for you. During the executive order signing ceremony, Trump declared, this was one of the big reasons that we all won. He added later, I want to thank Riley. She really has been in the forefront. It's just crazy to me from the outside to look in to see the issues that PACs get behind, amplify, and convince people it's going to affect you. They've convinced the average soccer mom that their little girl is going to get beat up by a 20-year-old man in some type of sport. It's just so crazy. Interviews with former teammates and competitors at the fateful 2022 championship, as well as a review of Gaines' public statements, legal documents, nonprofit filings, and other records reveal how she transformed herself from captain of a deeply troubled swim team to one of the leading conservative activists of her generation. Today, Gaines serves as a real-life Regina George figure of the MAGA universe. With her online dust-ups receiving celebrity coverage in right-wing press. A Fox News darling and social media bomb thrower affiliated with some of the country's most influential right-wing advocacy groups. She broadcast the pictures and names of trans middle schoolers to her 1.6 million followers on X, encouraging younger athletes to boycott and shun trans competitors. For her, this cause is, quote, spiritual warfare. Meanwhile, she's cashing in. Between recording sessions for her podcast, Gains for Girls, she reps an anti-trans clothing line and slings a student debt refinancing plan, herbal supplements, and sells ivermectin. In 2024, she released a children's book and memoir. Her speaking fees run as high as $25,000 per engagement. By multiple measures, Gaines and her allies have largely prevailed in their original quest to rid women's sports of trans athletes. 29 states have now banned trans girls and women from participating on the school sports teams that match their gender identity, though some of those bans are blocked as they work their way through the courts. After Trump's executive order, the NCAA and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee both changed their policies to categorically exclude trans women. But Gaines, who did not respond to interview requests and questions for this story, shows no signs of stopping. Of course not. It's her cash cow. After all, sports is just a stepping stone to a more sweeping goal. The gender ideology movement is a house of cards, and I believe it's lying on that sport issue, she told the New York Times last August. This will be the card that makes it all crumble. Riley Gaines opens her 2024 memoir, Swimming Against the Current, with a formative experience from her childhood. When she was 8, she wrote, her father, Brad, led her to the ledge of an outdoor pool in the middle of winter and told her to jump in. No shaking or chattering, he commanded. She needed to learn mental toughness. As she grew up in a conservative Christian family in the suburbs of Nashville, the daughter of 2 college athletes, her father's lessons served her well, especially when she was recruited to swim at the University of Kentucky, a Division I school, with a women's swim team rising in the national rankings under the head coach, Lars Jorgensen. Gaines was a repeat Tennessee state champion and had qualified for the Olympic trials at age 15. Despite such accomplishments, during her recruiting trip to campus, Jorgensen told her she was okay and walk-on material. She'd later tell a local sports reporter. She committed to UK anyways. You could look at his comments as hurtful and mean, but I know it was just tough love, she said. He would trash talk you, but that was part of what makes this special for me. She's got a really demented, like, daddy issue thing going on as well. During her first year, she writes, Jorgensen often called her a loft for lack of fucking talent. But she was not offended. He didn't actually think I was a loft, she explains in her book. This was his way of seeing how we liked to be motivated. Okay. Jorgensen definitely had his cult of persona around him, recalls Trinity Ward, a teammate, 1 year behind Gaines. When he was singing your praises, at least for me, it felt like you were on top of the world. And when it felt like you were disappointing him, that felt horrible. Ward, as well as 2 more of Gaines's teammates who requested anonymity to avoid backlash from Gaines's fans and followers, are speaking publicly for the first time. They say Jorgensen often screamed at swimmers, told them they weren't worth coaching, and tried to force them to swim when sick and injured. According to a 2023 investigation by UK Athletics Compliance Office obtained through a public records request, swimmers reported that voluntary practices weren't really optional and that Jorgensen imposed grueling extra swims for transgressions against him. We had punishments where we had to swim with our snorkels for 2 hours and weren't allowed to stop, one of Gaines's teammates remembers. The NCAA eventually suspended this coach, Jorgensen, for violating limits on the practice hours. Swimmers say Jorgensen mocked teammates' weight and pressured them to lower their body fat percentage to extremes. Lars is the biggest reason that an alarming number of women's swim teams suffer from eating disorders, one former swimmer who wrote to UK officials. The damage from Lars' words and remarks about female bodies lasts long beyond the 4-year collegiate swimming. It was hard to know until we got out of it that he was crossing the line, Ward says. Teammates who complained were treated as not tough enough. One of the anonymous teammates adds, they didn't have what it takes to be a D1 athlete. Ward maintained a friendship with Gaines, who she says was generous with her car and could party hard. Ward maintained a friendship with Gaines, who she says was generous with her car and could party hard. Even when Ward, who is queer, started dating a woman, Gaines was still friendly and respectful. So she had a gay friend. Once, as they drove together to a team retreat, they chatted about their respective experiences of being raised in religious conservative families. It was the summer of 2021. Trump had recently left office, and Ward remembers Gaines saying she didn't even like Trump. It's been really weird to see her completely transform, Ward says now. If you told me 4 years ago that Riley Gaines was going to be the spokesperson for the anti-trans movement, be speaking with Trump at CPAC, I'd be like, you're crazy. Gaines, who was seen as one of Jorgensen's favorites, seemed to weather the pressure on the team better than most. Never saw Riley cry because of something Lars said, Ward recalls. I never saw her have like a mental breakdown or show that any of this was getting to her. In her book, Gaines writes that despite his utter savagery, Jorgensen became and still is one of my best friends. Jorgensen wasn't the only swim coach creating a toxic environment. In the fall of 2019, Gaines' sophomore year, the university started looking into the behavior of one of their assistant coaches, Lawrence Chip Klein, based on complaints from swimmers who had graduated. We all felt uncomfortable about Chip, one of Gaines' anonymous teammates remembers. According to records from the ensuing investigation, Klein allegedly touched a swimmer's leg under her towel and forced her to hug him before letting her enter the team room, and made sexual comments about the team members, comparing their bodies to meat and saying, with a butt like that, she ought to be a good swimmer. The school eventually determined that Klein violated the harassment policy and suspended him, then declined to renew his contract. It also suspended Jorgensen for 6 days for failing to report what he knew about Klein's conduct. So again, there's some weird things going on in there. Like some really weird things. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but you can see how like she had a gay friend. She wasn't a fan of Trump. She didn't seem to have issues with any of this. She knew that the real fucking people they need to worry about were goddamn pedophiles within the coaching staff. But the money comes in. They say, hey, we want to propel your story. We want to get you famous. We want to do this. We can pay you to do this. We're going to send you on this tour. And suddenly they're just grifters, right? And they'll do anything for the money. Money, fame, attention, and she's hanging out with the goddamn president. She was a 5th place fucking swimmer at the NCAA championship, and now she's hanging out with a goddamn president. And had that trans person not been there, not existed, never been born, never transitioned, she would still be a fucking 5th place swimmer. Still. Like, if that person never fucking existed, integrity doesn't pay. I learned that. I should have stayed on this fucking Trump train. Anyways, had that person never existed, she wouldn't be doing any better. She'd be doing worse in life. Honestly, she wouldn't be hanging out with the president. She'd be a 5th place swimmer, and she'd be fucking doing some other job now, whatever she went to school for. It's just insane. Fucking insane. I think someone mentioned this video the other day. Fox News now telling, because they know the economy's so bad, because they know the job number's so bad, because they know how expensive everything is here, they are telling their viewers now, don't worry about buying Christmas presents for everybody. Just kids from the age to 3 to 18, that's it. No grandma, no infants, no presents for spouses, kids from the age of 3 to 18, and that's it.
Okay, my point is Your side of the aisle knows that the prices are bad. They knew that the job numbers were bad in the summer, so they fired the girl that gave us the numbers. They knew that the job numbers were bad in August, so they hired a yes man to do it. Then they didn't release them for October because the job numbers are terrible. And they know that the economy is terrible because they're on Fox News saying, by the way, for Christmas this year, you don't need to buy gifts for anyone over 18 or anyone under 3.
Let me play that soundbite.
Do you have that? Oh my God.
Stop. Remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on the people in your life who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift.
What?
Even if they're 3 to 18 and they live like out of town, if they don't live near you, don't get them fucking gifts.
Bro, if you want to talk about killing Christmas, like they are literally priming their audience for not having
Right. 3 to 18 only. They're saying that, you know, a 2-year-old's not going to remember it.
enough money to buy presents. So you tell me you think the economy's good? You are wrong.
Don't get your grandma those slippers.
Okay, my point is,
is that not a wild clip from Fox News? The economy's so good. Trump's winning. We have all this money. Look at the stock market. Don't buy gifts for people. Like, just save money, okay? Just save money. Fucking losers. I've got a bunch of stuff that just doesn't fit in very well, but let's go here. I found out why Ryan Upchurch is so crazy. I found out why Ryan Upchurch is so crazy. Or at least I know it's obviously it's drugs, but I know where he's I know where he's getting a lot of these ideas. I know who is feeding them a lot of their things. I know where the guy's he's claiming that he has access to like law enforcement, and he's got people that can run tags and people that are looking up stuff for him. You guys remember this guy? We covered him extensively in a multi-part series. This is Scott McKay's conspiracy cop, okay? The one that was the assistant police chief and tried to dox a reporter and use the news reporter's wife's maiden name to try to scare him. And he's like a crazy, the Democrats are trafficking kids kind of deal. And there was this whole thing. Well, they both resigned, okay? He's actually under investigation by the TBI for stealing a bunch of documents related to politicians that he was trying to expose as child traffickers. They resigned, whatever. This guy's now teamed up with Ryan Upchurch. So I got the proof. Give me just a second. Oh, I forgot to post this, I guess, on Twitter or on Telegram. My bad. Let's see. I want to make sure I got the right one. So the guy that's giving him a bunch of these theories and telling him a bunch of these theories and running tags for him and doing research, he tells him right here. Upchurch says that it's this conspiracy cop. Check it out.
I want to give a shout out to everybody who has stuck around and not fell into the fucking category of people who got psyoped into hating.
Psyop. That's one of their terms. They got they're psyoping these people, and hey, that's why they accuse you of being on drugs. That's what they did to me. You know, I was a good cop, and then they psyoped. And this is also why Ryan has beef with that older investigative journalist out of Nashville.
The creators and the people on the internet like myself that actually love this country and actually care for the well-being of all of us, not just for ourselves. You're the real fucking MVP, all right?
You're the real ones, guys.
Let's help the commander-in-chief clean this motherfucking shit up.
Let's help the commander-in-chief clean this shit up.
Just call a spade a spade. We know a lot of the millionaires and billionaires around Nashville. They're slick haters. They probably have donated money to the wrong team. You know, the one that doesn't give a fuck about nobody. They probably are the ones who
Let's talk about the Democrats.
help fund money towards propaganda and misinformation. And, you know,
It's so crazy, these people that are so delusional. Obviously, his drugs, but there's other people that follow Trump or whatever, that they think that, like, propaganda and misinformation is just on the other side.
they're already a problem.
See, because here's the thing. Right now, people like us, we're being forced to look at problems that we would never even fucking look at. If folks down here on our level, we're all satisfied with our day-to-day life. The shit we worry about. What do we worry about? We worry about paying bills. We worry about paying taxes. We worry about getting paid enough versus our taxes. And we just want to have fun every once in a while, right? That's easy. If we're all
I hate how they put one of his songs in the background at the start of all these goddamn videos.
satisfied, well, we can do what we got to do so the person who's fixing everything for us can also make a fuck ton of money. And we also wouldn't sit back and bitch.
Ryan Upchurch's thing is he thinks that
Bird_57 just resubscribed for 35 months. Why is he always flaring his nostrils?
I don't know. Get that tutor in there easily, I guess. Almost at 3 years. Thank you very much for the resubscription. Ryan Upchurch thinks that it's completely acceptable that, like, if Trump fixes stuff for us, he should make a fuck ton of money. Like, he's literally said, who gives a fuck how much money he's making? Like, he ought to be able to, as long as he's making good decisions that help me, he ought to be able to manipulate the presidency to make billions of dollars. Duh.
About them making so much money. We would actually want to make them more fucking money. They made it worse on us, which is why we started looking at them and seeing what the fuck they were doing. At least support the guy who is advocating and trying to pass things and expose things to make your life better. If our life is better, his life is better. If we make more money, he makes more money.
There you go.
You don't get mad at the top dog for making all the money. He's making all of us more money, so let's just follow suit. My whole ordeal with Vanderbilt, brother, I don't think y'all understand. I still have a very, very, very solid court case.
And I think, so Ryan Upchurch a lot of times just Googles people's phone numbers, and a lot of times it might come back to the listing person, but other times it just lists like random shit. Like you get a bunch, when you just Google a phone number, you get a bunch of results, unless it's like a well-known business or whatever. And I think that he's just sending these phone numbers over to Sean Taylor, the conspiracy cop, and the guy's just Googling him. And whatever sounds the most conspiracy-like, he's saying, oh, it was these people.
With Vanderbilt, if I want one. Do you understand?
With lawsuit.
Hard proof that they're not going to be able to lie about. When it comes to Nashville, I have a foolproof case against the medical field that could also prove his point on these.
Against the entire medical field?
That could also prove his point on these fucking birth certificates and help explain to you voter fraud. Yeah, fuck.
Now it's the birth certificates and voter fraud.
With me. And also have a foolproof case with finances, accounting, and the music industry, which leads into realty, which also leads into the court system. You can say whatever you want about Sean Taylor, but which leads into realty, which also leads into the court system. You can say
the courts, realty, healthcare, the music industry, finance. He's got foolproof cases over against the whole economy, basically. If it's a service industry, he's got a case on it, bitch. A foolproof case.
With finances, accounting, and the music industry, which leads into realty, which also leads into the court system. You can say whatever you want about Sean Taylor, but he was talking about everything Trump is exposing before it got exposed. And that man takes the time out of his day. When I have a question, I ask him, hey, what do I do about this? What is this?
He's taking advice from this guy. The conspiracy-minded cop now at the center of a criminal investigation from the TBI. He takes time out of his day to answer all my questions. By the way, you guys know that video that Ryan keeps showing? I've showed it on here before. And it's basically his ghost ranch property, which he doesn't live at now. And he shows a car pulling up like to a driveway and then turning around. And leaving, he's like, me and my security decide if you pull up at Ghost Ranch after passing the no trespassing sign and blah, 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 we're just going to beat your ass. You deserve an ass whipping for being so fucking stupid. Y'all ain't going to catch me slipping like they're either, like they're assassins sent by Jelly Roll or whatever. It's because that property's listed for sale. Imagine listing a property for sale and then someone shows up to look at the property, and then you threaten to have them killed for showing up and what? Anyways, Ryan Upchurch, he goes right to the source, Sean Taylor.
In the music industry, which leads into realty, which also leads into the court system. You can say whatever you want about Sean Taylor, but he was talking about everything Trump is exposing before it got exposed. And that man takes the time out of his day. When I have a question, I ask him, hey, what do I do about this? What does this mean? And he comes to me, and he assists me, and he helps guide me to knowing the truth about whatever the fuck it is I want to know about. I don't want.
He helps guide me to knowing the truth about whatever the fuck I want to know about. And we've heard this guy talk. He's a fucking psycho, right? He thinks that AI is being manipulated and Google Maps. And this is probably where Ryan got his secret Google Maps code. And it's just fucking insane.
I hear no bullshit. Oh, he's a conspiracy cop. No, he's a fucking cop that was doing the right thing and exposing the right stuff. And a lot of motherfuckers didn't like it. That's the truth. And you can see the phone call when we.
Right. So if they get if they're getting all this hate from the media, they're doing the right thing. If they're being investigated, it's because they pissed off the wrong people because they were doing the right thing. If they go to jail, it's because the court system's corrupt because they were doing the right thing. These people that believe the same as them and spread these conspiracies can do no wrong. Like if that conspiracy cop went to jail today for fucking an infant, Ryan Upchurch would be on here saying, oh, it's a setup, the system, and blah, blah, blah. But then random people who just disagree with him online are pedophiles because they have a purple light in their background. Like, it's fucking insane.
Got to leave Vanderbilt or Freddie McDougalfoogle over here calling us the fucking cop that was doing the right thing and exposing the right stuff. And a lot of motherfuckers didn't like it. That's the truth. And you can see the phone call when we got to leave Vanderbilt or Freddie McDougalfoogle over here.
I'm really want to know if Ryan has hired this guy as a consultant or security or something.
Calling us from a phone that has nothing to do with Vanderbilt, asking me and my wife, so like, are you gonna make a lawsuit out of this? Yeah, I'm sure y'all would love to hear that phone call. Because Freddie, you don't even have ties to Vandy. It's your wife. So the fuck are you on the phone for? I want to give a shout out to everybody who has stuck around. And
so there's that one. And then I've got one more of Ryan Upchurch that just doesn't really fit in with the rest of the show. It's more of his conspiracies. Hold on. This is the one where he repeats a conspiracy straight from Sean Taylor that these people have like bot farms or something, and they're manipulating the AI to make it leftist or against this person or against that person they don't like. And by the way, the only proof of anybody manipulating AI is literally Elon Musk. Elon Musk is manipulating Grok on Twitter, not if you use the API, not if I use it like in the programming format, like if I reach out to it remotely and ask it a question, not manipulated. If I go into Grok and ask it a question, manipulated. It was literally saying that Elon Musk was a better athlete than LeBron James. Shit like that. Like, it was insane, the stuff. I might look up a video if we want to later. Let me go to this last one. This is another Ryan Upchurch.
all right, fellas, you ready for this shit?
Probably figured out that I look like a Ninja Turtle.
A fucking Ninja Turtle. Yeah. No, motherfucker, you look like Ryan. Wasn't that Ryan Wedding? You look like Ryan Wedding, the guy who's on the run.
Do you guys know who Ryan Wedding is? Most people don't, but he was like the guy from Canada that they exposed as a drug lord. He's a former Olympian athlete. Now they're calling him the cocaine lawyer. They're saying he's a drug kingpin or whatever.
For $15 million.
By the way, Jelly Roll doesn't look like him at all. Like, Jelly Roll just lost a bunch of weight, but I mean, have you all seen what this guy looks like? Hold on. I don't know why Ryan, I mean, obviously it's drugs. The answer is always drugs, but this is even close. Does this guy look like Jelly Roll? Oh, I have to zoom in. Oh, I should have done this. Hold on. That'll make it bigger. Look at that. Right, this is Jelly Roll after he lost weight. It's just where his skin loose. It makes him and fat people, because they don't have wrinkles, look a lot younger, even if they are fat. It makes Jelly Roll look older, basically. But this guy's like a fucking, like, still in shape, like still a good athlete. Ron's like, you look like Ryan Wedding. What? I don't even know where that comes from, but okay.
You look like Ryan.
He probably thinks the media made up the story about Ryan Wedding to hide something about Jelly Roll being a drug dealer or something.
Wedding, the guy who's on the run for $15 million. Upchurch, are you saying that Jelly Roll is Ryan Wedding? No, this Ryan Wedding guy's missing, so, you know, I mean, so what did y'all come to Nashville and make this big fucking country rap out? Oh, yeah, you did.
He does think it's a conspiracy. He just said it. So he said, are you saying Jelly Roll's Ryan Wedding? He's like, no, that guy's missing, but I thought, why'd you guys come to Nashville and make a record that wasn't a record, that didn't come out?
No, this Ryan Wedding guy's missing, so, you know, I mean, so what did y'all come to Nashville and make this big fucking country rap out? Oh, yeah, you didn't make it. What the fuck did y'all do? I think they know what you did. Oh, no, Jelly Roll. Y'all ain't trying to...
I think they know what you did. I guarantee you he's got Sean Taylor looking into this. They came and said they were making an album, but they didn't make an album.
Up AI, are you?
Listen, there it is.
Oh, what you did? Oh, no, Jelly Roll. Y'all ain't trying to muddy up AI, are you? I don't know.
That is a Sean Taylor conspiracy, that enough people with enough power and bot farms or something, I don't know how, but these elite people go on and muddy up or change AI search results. Ryan Upchurch had a fucking full-blown meltdown the other day because he searched somebody on Google, and he loves the AI results. He likes talking to AI. He likes almost like AI psychosis. And this person apparently had 2 kids, but AI was telling him they didn't have any children. And he was claiming that people were manipulating AI, I guess, to traffic their own fucking kids. His theory was basically, if you convince AI that you don't have kids, then you can get rid of your kids and sell them, and then nobody can prove that you had kids because AI thinks you don't have kids or something. Like, I don't know how it gets rid of the birth certificate or like witnesses or grandparent. I don't know. I don't know how it does that, but Ryan was convinced the AI is being manipulated to say that celebrities don't have kids, so when their kids disappear and you don't see them anymore, you'll search AI, it'll tell you there's no kids, and you won't look into it any further.
Well, I think you are, motherfucker. It's over for y'all.
Over.
And you're just watching y'all fucking try to cover your tracks up. What a fucking waste of time.
So me being who the fuck I am and how I was raised around here in Cheatham County, I had to pick up the fucking weight. I had to put my fucking career on hold for past...
By the way, Ryan's accounts got hacked, and people were talking about how he's having like a meltdown about his accounts getting hacked. This is a while back. So Ryan makes a video and comes out and says, we let you hack all my accounts. I made a backup and then let all my accounts get hacked. I think he lost his phone is what happened. And somebody just picked it up and hacked his accounts. He's like, I let all my accounts get hacked. We already had everything backed up, and we wanted to watch you hack them so we could record you hacking them. Exactly, as one does.
Fucking 2 years pretty much. I fucking make all my money legally. I'm probably the biggest actual independent artist in the fucking world. I've never been in serious trouble. I do what I'm supposed to fucking do. I work my fucking ass off, and I try to teach it to the fucking youth. And I'm the one you try to fuck. Oh, I think the fuck is gonna be way bigger coming your way, buddy.
His cousin gave him a pistol for his birthday one time, and Ryan Upchurch tried to tie that to a murder and take it to the local sheriff's department and turn the gun in for ballistics testing because he said he thinks his cousin murdered somebody with the pistol he gave him for his birthday.
I've seen the comments. Oh, you sound guilty. Why are you getting so defensive? Is that what you think it is? Offensive? You think I'm guilty? Well, I hate to fucking break it to you. If you ain't doing nothing bad, you have nothing to worry about. If you're a scum...
He can't even repeat the claim. He says, so people keep saying, or he says, I've seen the comments. People are like, why are you so defensive? You getting mad? You got something to hide? And then the next time he says it, he's like, oh, you think that's offensive? Those are not the same word.
I think the fuck is gonna be way bigger coming your way, buddy. And trust me, I've seen the comments. Oh, you sound guilty. Why are you getting so defensive? I'm
defensive?
You think it is offensive? You think I'm
offensive?
Why?
Defensive. Offensive.
To fucking break it to you. If you ain't doing nothing bad, you have nothing to worry
That's right, Bug Dude.
If you're a scummy fuck that is doing very non-American shit and funneling money out of the country while somebody's trying to fix the goddamn debt and make everybody's fucking minimum wage better, well then you're not really helping us, are you? No, you're not. And you're down here trying to fuck the person who is able to prove to you the American dream is actually real. See, when shit gets rough in this country, a lot of motherfuckers just give up. They want your money. How much money does one need? And you know what makes me angry as fuck? You want to know what makes me more mad than anything in this whole fucking situation? These
What's that?
Fuckers that have done this, that have ruined the reputation of, slandered, and fucking just poured propaganda on the folks that are selfless. The ones that don't need more and more and more and more. They can make more and more and more, but they don't need more and more. Stay fucking tuned. I know everybody's like, oh, crazy conspiracies. He's at it again, spiraling. You sit and you wait a little bit longer, and you're gonna see I was right about every fucking thing I've been saying the past 2 fucking years.
Again, a QAnon style thing. Like, just wait. I'll be right about everything in 2 years.
About that. Have a great day.
All right, fellas.
That's all he's got to say about that. He's a fucking loose cannon, dude. But it does clear up a lot now that that he's with Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan, the conspiracy cop that got ran out of fucking Millersville PD or whatever. And there's several investigative journalists that have been covering his stuff. And he's got ties, of course, to Scott McKay and Jaco and others. Just a small town piece of shit cop. He's had a pretty shitty career, honestly. And somehow he becomes their fucking celebrity because he says that Democrats target babies. I don't know what the fuck Cindy's saying. Rerun of the Upchurch show. Don't watch the show. Don't fucking watch it. I don't know what the fuck. Don't watch. Anyways, this was kind of demoralizing here. This is really fucked up. They basically made RFK Jr. promise if he was confirmed by Congress that he wasn't going to go on the goddamn CDC website and start talking about vaccines cause autism, because we know that's not true. And just from his influence before, he killed all those kids in fucking Samoa. Like, he can clearly influence a large portion of the public, and it's not in any of our best interests, including those kids that'll be born to these parents that are now confused or unsure about vaccines, and that's going to affect the rest of us. Well, then we get this.
Holy cow, folks, I cannot begin to tell you how angry I am right now because the CDC is dead as we know it. The administration has killed the CDC as of November 19th, 2025, when they published a webpage on the CDC's website saying vaccines do not cause autism, but then just underneath that they say,
the claim vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines cause autism. Studies supporting a link have been ignored by health authorities. HHS has launched a comprehensive assessment of the cause of autism, including investigations on plausible biological mechanisms and potential causal links.
There's not enough evidence to say that vaccines do not cause autism. And then there's an asterisk, which at the very bottom, they say we have to keep this statement because
it literally says it. The header, which is the top of the website, like up here, the header, quote, vaccines do not cause autism, has not been removed due to an agreement with the chair of the U.S. Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee that it would remain on the CDC website. So literally in his interview, they're like, you're not going to take the vaccines do not cause autism page down. He's like, no, I won't do that. He's like, so you're promising me today that if you become the director, you're not going to take down this webpage. And he said, yes, I can make that promise. But now they put a disclaimer saying the only reason it's up is because of this, but vaccines really do cause autism.
Because in an agreement with a senator from the Senate Health Committee, which we know is Bill Cassidy, who was the deciding vote to make sure that RFK Jr. became the Health and Human Services Secretary. And they list a bunch of bullshit.
The deciding vote. The deciding vote. We're losing credibility. With the world at this point.
Reasons about why there's not enough evidence, because what anti-vaxxers do is they keep moving the goalposts. Whoever wrote this was a political operative, not a scientist, because any scientist would know that this article would never go through peer review because they don't go through the entire body of the literature. They ignore dozens of papers that have looked into this that show that vaccines do not cause autism. The scientific consensus is clear on this. In addition, they ignore the genetic predispositions that is a main driver for autism spectrum disorder, and the whole body of evidence showing that signs of autism spectrum disorder actually happen in...
They claim that like the CDC has ignored like 2 or 3 studies basically by the same fucking autism fucking retards that claim it's caused by vaccines or whatever. But while doing that, they ignore thousands and thousands and thousands and meta study after meta study after meta study that have ruled it out.
Utero, even before a baby is born.
You can see the precursors for autism before a baby is born.
Spectrum disorder actually happen in utero, even before a baby is born. On this. In addition, they ignore the genetic predispositions that is a main driver for autism spectrum disorder.
If it's caused by vaccines, why can we see it before a baby's even born?
And the whole body of evidence showing that signs of autism spectrum disorder actually happen in utero, even before a baby is born. I am calling on everybody to speak out against this because this is going to unnecessarily harm children, and that is not okay. Holy cow, folks, I cannot begin to tell you how angry I am right now because the CDC is dead.
Doctors are pretty pissed about it. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has made a dramatic about-face in the agency's position on the relationship between vaccines and autism. The CDC website now says a link between vaccines and autism cannot be ruled out. That's a reversal of the CDC's longstanding stance that there is no link. The change comes even though a connection between vaccines and autism has long been debunked by a large body of high-quality research, but Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has long promoted this discredited claim. The CDC's change is alarming public health experts. They are already worried about a drop in childhood vaccination, which has led to a resurgence of dangerous childhood diseases like measles and whooping cough. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website has been changed to promote false information suggesting vaccine cause autism, said Dr. Suzanne J. Cressley, president of the American Academy of Pediatrics, in a statement. Since 1998, independent research across 7 countries have conducted more than 40 high-quality studies involving 5.6 million people. The conclusion is clear and unambiguous. There's no link between vaccines and autism. She went on to say, anyone repeating this harmful myth is misinformed or intentionally lying to try to mislead parents. We call on the CDC to stop wasting government resources to amplify false claims that sow doubt in one of the best tools we have to keep children healthy and thriving, routine immunizations. In a statement to NPR, Department of Health and Human Services spokesperson Andrew Nixon repeated one of the changes to the website. The claim vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines cause autism. He said the department has launched a comprehensive assessment of the causes of autism, including investigations on plausible biological mechanisms and potential causal links. I thought just a few months ago it was fucking Tylenol, wasn't it? the changes on the website blindsided career scientists at the CDC, says Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, a former top CDC official who resigned from the agency in August. The scientist did not participate in its creation, and he says, and the data is unvetted. Insane. Fucking insane. I'm going to show you a video now that I think you should share everywhere. If you watch this video, these people are legally here in the United States, okay? If you watch this video and come away thinking that what we're doing to brown people, to foreigners, to people here legally, and even sometimes U.S. citizens is not fucking inhumane, then I don't trust you, right? We can't be friends. This is insane what's going on with ICE right now. This comes from the New York Times. Here we go.
I was reapplying for my work visa in the immigration office. I was doing everything completely legally.
I came to the US legally 11 and a half years ago. I was granted asylum. Then I got a notice to appear in one of ICE's offices in June for what they called a routine check-in.
We went to Cancun for vacation with my family. When we came back, got on the plane, they pulled me aside. I didn't understand why.
They said, you need to reapply through the consulate and we need to send you back to Canada. And in my head, I thought that meant, okay, I'm just getting on a plane and going home.
I was never concerned. I had a green card. I traveled multiple times.
In her head, she thought, okay, I'll fly back to Canada, have this cleared up in a couple hours, and then whatever, I'll reapply and come back, right? She's here legally. She has legal paperwork that says she can legally be here. They all do.
I was never concerned. I had a green card. I traveled multiple times before out of the country.
This woman just went on vacation.
For flights to go home. And I was taken.
They were like, we have to detain you.
Why? This woman was trying to book a flight to go home to straighten out her paperwork. And they're like, no, we mean you're arrested.
I was under arrest.
With no explanation. It felt like I had been kidnapped.
You're kidnapping me.
They said they are detaining and deporting people who are here illegally and criminals.
I was never in the country illegally.
I did not come here illegally.
It was legal from day one.
70% have no criminal conviction.
You know, having a mother taken away from the kids, I felt like a knife was just like, it's like stabbing my heart.
I never expect this in America.
I was taken to the first detention center in chains.
When I got there, I was like, where am I? It was like a prison.
They took us to the booking. We're asked to strip naked in front of each other.
There were 30 of us in one cell, just like a line of bunks, and then open showers and toilets.
And we're supposed to use this toilet in front of 12, 14 other people.
If I wanted to use the bathroom, I feel violated.
What did we do to be treated this way? That is inhumane.
I was treated like a criminal, like I killed somebody.
And every single time I asked a question, it was, I'm not your case officer. I don't know. I'm just doing my job.
I said, listen, I know every one of you will say, I left my kids at home with no one to take care of them. I don't care. You will say that you haven't eaten anything all day long. I don't care. You say that you're terrified, you are here unjustly. I don't care.
It was super cold.
Freezing.
They nicknamed them the ice boxes.
I don't think it's more than 30 degrees.
We're huddled, trying to stay warm, wrapped in these aluminum foils, looking like dead bodies.
There's no window that you can look outside.
I never was able to breathe fresh air.
Fluorescent lights are shining 24/7.
I couldn't sleep. We kept hearing rats. Squeak. Oh.
One of the girls had her period and there was blood everywhere.
They knew I was a menstrual cycle, but it was not offered to shower for 5 days.
Couldn't get a shower for 5 days.
nurse comes in and she's like, pregnancy test. She made us pee in front of each other into these Dixie cups. We're all just standing there in a circle holding our open urine, and she's plopping these pregnancy tests in and then being like, okay, you guys are gonna check it back in the toilet.
The food was horrible.
It was disgusting.
I ended up getting very sick.
I lost a lot of my weight, 20 pounds.
My body was really starting to shut down. I felt like, oh my goodness, am I gonna die here?
I worked as a journalist in Egypt, and I was persecuted and detained and tortured. My experience at the Butler County Jail was more traumatizing than my detention in Egypt.
That guy was arrested and tortured in Egypt. And his experience in jail, an ICE detention facility, was worse in the U.S. Partly because he probably didn't expect it, or didn't expect to be treated that way. At least if I go to fucking, Iran, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna get fucked up here. Not in the U.S.
In Egypt, and I was persecuted.
Didn't used to be in the U.S.
And detained and tortured. My experience at the Butler County Jail was more traumatizing than my detention in Egypt.
I think that's part of it, though. I think they want it to be so horrible. That way, people have like this tie to it, so they won't even try to come back. Even if they're people like this that are legally here, they're trying to fucking mentally torture these people.
I got woken up in the middle of the night and they're like, Jasmine, you're leaving. I jumped up. I'm like, I'm going home. And they're like, we're being transferred.
She said, we're going to transfer you to Maine. I was like, Maine?
You're going to Arizona. I'm like, why am I going to Arizona? I begged every single guard for help. Can you please tell anyone, your supervisor, that I would love to pay for my flight home? Just get me out of here. ICE issued a statement saying I was detained for not having legal documentation to be in the U.S. I do not support anyone being in a country illegally. I had all my paperwork. I was in the immigration office. I was never in the country illegally.
Since a green card is a privilege, not a right, and under our nation laws, our government has the authority to revoke a green card if a law is broken and abused. In my early 20s, I was young. I was in college.
When she was in college, she had some marijuana. Never been an issue ever since then. She's always renewed all of her stuff, never been in trouble, never done anything. That was enough.
Got in trouble for possession of marijuana. I was pardoned. It was dismissed. It's been years, and I have renewed my green card twice. Never had an issue with immigration.
USCIS obtained evidence that indicated you provided material support to a Tier 3 terrorist organization.
He donated to a nonprofit. Volunteered with a nonprofit that they later decided was a terrorist organization.
Volunteered was a nonprofit that took care of orphans and poor and sick people in Egypt. So basically, they tried to link this nonprofit, which is the most reputable, respected nonprofit, to a Tier 3 undesignated terrorist organization. This is how they framed it.
I don't feel like this was a mistake. I feel like this was on purpose.
That is not a rare case. This is systematic.
They are just grabbing anyone that they can.
They're trying to find ways to deport as many people, even if these people were here legally.
Not knowing what's going to happen to me, I feel like that was the worst, because I wanted just to call my husband. I wanted to hear my kids, and my kids are okay, During the time that I was there, it was also my daughter's birthday. I feel like they took that away from me. I was scared they were going to forget me.
I was put on solitary confinement for 6 days for advocating for myself and the other Muslim inmates to have a quiet space to pray.
He got put in solitary for bringing up that they didn't have a quiet room or somewhere to go pray.
When my mental health started to deteriorate too fast, it's just a matter of time. I'll get deported and get killed in Egypt. That was the thing that I couldn't get out of my mind. I'll just get deported and get killed.
He has asylum from Egypt because there are groups in Egypt that want to fucking murder him. And if he gets deported back to Egypt, that's probably his fate. So now is he not only in this position where it's basically like fucking torture, right? But he also has this issue in the back of his head. If I get deported, I'm going to be murdered as soon as I set foot in Egypt.
I had a medical check, and
he was a journalist that reported on corruption and stuff in Egypt.
Go visit this nurse. She could tell that I was distraught and confused, and she looked at me and she goes, "Can I pray for you?" And she said this like beautiful prayer in Spanish that I have no idea what she was saying. And I just cried and I cried and I cried, and she just held my hands, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get through this.
An officer called and said, pack your stuff.
Where am I going? Just pack your stuff.
I was transferred back to the San Diego prison.
It was a 2-hour drive.
Someone just grabbed me and said, you're coming with me this way.
She's like, yeah, uncuff her. She's being released today. My eyes just like, what?
Said, you are released. I actually forget what the word released mean in English. To be honest, what do you mean by you released? I was in a shock.
They stripped the chains off of me quickly, snuck me into the airport, escort me onto the plane, sit me down, and they're like, okay, you're free. You can use your cell phone now. Take care.
And they're kind of like outside, and I did not know where to go. I didn't have a phone.
An officer said, we just got this letter today. The Department of Homeland Security reinstated your asylum status. It was the happiest moment of my entire life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So the first thing we did was to drive to the mosque. Then we went out to eat in a Palestinian restaurant. I ate a lot.
I was happy to see my husband. I was more happy to see my girls, no offense. The youngest one was having nightmare, kept waking up. So I knew they needed me. And just kind of reassure them I'm okay, even though it's still hard for me. It's still fragile.
I am a different person.
This is fucking horrible, dude.
I lost my job that I love. I lost my health insurance. Was not able to finish my degree, all because I got detained for 73 days.
I was so lucky to have only been in there for 2 weeks. Can you imagine someone in the system that doesn't have my privilege? All the lawyers, all the money, all my connections, majority of the women that I met have been in there for months. I received a 5-year ban from America. Everyone asked me, they're like, well, you're never gonna go.
They're all here legally. That's why they were released. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't give a fuck.
I'm appealing. I want to go back. I love America.
I am in the process now of getting my citizenship.
I still love the American people, but I'm doubting if I ever feel safe and call the United States my home. I don't think this government will stop.
Your government is funding a system that doesn't follow any rules.
Immigrants will be the first target. After that, they will target any opposition. Violating due process this time means they will violate it again and again and again.
Statement from Tricia McLaughlin, the one who funneled all that money for the ad campaign through her husband's company. Hold on just a second. Tricia McLaughlin, the person who funneled all that money to her husband, this is the statement. After the New York Times reached out with these 3 cases. We are no longer allowing illegal aliens who have never been admitted into the U.S. to be eligible for bond. President Trump and Secretary Noem are now enforcing this law as it was actually written to keep America safe. Politicians and activists can cry wolf all they want, but it won't deter this administration from keeping these criminals and lawbreakers off American streets. And now, thanks to the big, beautiful bill, we will have plenty of bed space to do so. Statement from Butler County Jail. The guy that was in this video, Mr. Solomon, was given 2 options for locations within the housing unit where he could pray. This is why he got put in solitary or whatever. He was upset with those options and became argumentative with staff. Mr. Solomon was advised to return to his cell, and he refused in violation of jail orders. That's why he got put, that's their story of why he got put in solitary confinement. In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said Customs and Border Protection arrested Miss Mooney 3 times in 2024. That was the white-looking lady. Miss Mooney and her lawyer said she had been previously denied entry and faced challenges for her work visa, but she was never arrested. And the New York Times opinion reviewed documentation that supports this. So they're just lying about her, saying she was arrested 3 times in 2024. Apparently, she had issues like getting her paperwork right, but then she got it right because she was approved. They don't address the lady, the Hispanic looking lady. They don't address her at all. How fucking insane they treat people like this. I don't know why someone would do that. So I put a message just for future reference. Somebody put on Telegram a rerun of Upchurch show, and I put what? And they put, I went to Twitch immediately after you posted. There was no introduction, and your discussion was about Upchurch, which was confusing since you talked about him the other night, and this show didn't look like the topics mentioned. Sorry for the confusion on my part. Telegram is not for you to go fucking complain about the show. If you don't like it, just leave. There was a full introduction. I told everybody while I was talking about Upchurch. I'm sorry you missed that part. But what the fuck thinks you could go to my Telegram page and be like, oh, is this the Upchurch rerun? Just let yourself out. What the fuck? Anyways, I also have a quick clip that that I should have played earlier because it doesn't fit in. Asmongold, who is literally like some type of fucking right-wing voice of reason for like a younger generation of people that watch him religiously, and he's been getting more and more and more and more fucking right-wing and more MAGA and more right-wing and more MAGA, is a fucking retard. He's a goddamn hoarder that lives in fucking filth and says he had rats, dead rats in his house, and the smell used to wake him up and he would use that as an alarm clock. Like he's a disgusting fucking loser piece of shit. And just because he's famous on the internet, people take his advice. But look at his most recent clip that is going viral. Give me just a second to pull it up. This is fucking insane. This is how dumb Asmongold is. And people like look up to him for some reason.
Oh, man.
So it says, breaking, Zorhan Mamdani is expected to require all New York elementary school students to learn Arabic numerals. As a Jewish American, I still support this 100%. Now, we all know what Arabic numerals are, right? It's just our numbers. So obviously this is just like a joke. Like the right wing was freaking out about this before. They're like, oh, I did a show on it. On Twitter, they were melting down because Michigan was going to require students to learn Arabic numerals. It's just the number system we use. But listen to Asmongold.
Oh, man. Zoran Mandami is expected to require all New York elementary school students to learn Arabic numerals? This is happening faster than I thought. Probably by next year, you're going to have...
Happening faster than he thought.
Have to learn about the Quran instead of the Constitution. Oh, man. Zoran Mandami is expected to...
It's happening faster than he thought, and by next year, you're going to learn the Quran instead of the Constitution. Why do people listen to anything this fucking retard says? Like, I get it. If he's playing World of Warcraft or some game, awesome. How the fuck did he become this, like, staunch right-wing fucking Trump supporter that people, like, listen to for political takes? What the fuck is going on? All right, back to ICE. I forgot to play that clip earlier before I started my ICE rant. Yeah, I couldn't imagine seeing that video about ICE detaining those people and feeling like what we're doing in the United States is fucking good. Oh, by the way, you guys remember the woman that was, the ICE rammed her car and then shot her 7 times, 5 times, whatever. And then she ended up driving to like a parts store, had to call her own fucking ambulance. Then ICE comes and arrests her at the hospital, and ICE claims they rammed her. It was the same one where the ICE agent says, "Do something, bitch," before they ram her car and then shoot her. Remember, ICE came out, Trisha McLaughlin, Kristi Noem came out and said that she was a domestic terrorist, had tried to kill ICE agents by ramming them with her car, and they had to respond by opening fire. Remember? Remember all that? They dropped the case. They let a domestic terrorist walk free.
Tonight.
If that's true, if any of this is true, why the fuck would they drop the case? The reason they dropped the case is because the body cam shows that they ran her off the road because they didn't like that a group of cars were following them around, blowing the horns and shit. They ran her off the road and then shot him. And then the motherfucker that shot her was bragging and making jokes about it in a group text the very same day.
Suspects who had been labeled domestic terrorists during an immigration crackdown in Chicago, accused of ramming into Border Patrol officers. Well, the government tonight dropping charges. The defense now says an officer swerved into one of them before then opening fire, shooting a woman multiple times, then allegedly bragging about the shooting in text messages that followed. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, the case against a woman accused of ramming a Border Patrol vehicle during an immigration crackdown in Chicago has been dismissed after the defense suggested there was evidence it was the agent who swerved into her.
These agents were lying about what happened. Ms. Martinez never rammed anybody. These agents hit Ms. Martinez. These agents jumped out and shot Ms. Martinez, a U.S. citizen.
Marimar Martinez seen here in a convoy tailing federal agents during Operation.
So I'll admit, there are cars that are like, find ICE vehicles and follow them around, like blowing the horn and shit, warning people like, hey, ICE is here. That doesn't mean you can run them the fuck off the road. Just like the guy that pulled the gun in that intersection in California and like held that car at gunpoint. That's brandishing, right? You can't stop somebody from driving the same route that you're driving.
Midway Blitz was shot 5 times by Border Patrol after their vehicles collided, sparking chaotic protests. Prosecutors had labeled that woman in the car a domestic.
Now, if she really rammed ICE agents trying to kill them and they had to resort to lethal fucking violence to stop her attack, would they be dropping the case? Would it be dismissed?
Labeled that woman in the car a domestic terrorist and charged her with assault. But defense attorneys said moments before the collision, a second agent in the car is heard on body camera footage daring Martinez. Do something, expletive, before.
Do something, bitch, before they ram her. One of the passengers in the car is screaming, do something, bitch. Then they ram her car and shoot her.
The driver swerves the government vehicle into Martinez's car, then gets out and opens.
Agents Charles Exum swerved into Martinez's car, and they got out and opened fire on her. They're literally trying to kill U.S. citizens.
Opens fire, and he appeared to brag about the shooting.
It says federal agents taunted woman. So someone shared the article. Federal agents taunted Chicago woman to do something before shooting her, attorney claims. And he responds, laugh out loud, gracias. Fuck around and find out, or something around and find out. Part of it's blacked out. Then it says, sweet, my 15 minutes of fame, LMAO.
In text messages, I fired 5 rounds.
I have an MOF amendment to add to my story. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. He's bragging about how many times he shot her.
and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. Asked about those texts in court, the agent responded, I am a firearms instructor and I take pride in my shooting skills. Tonight,
So I'd say someone went through her fucking arm or into her body, and into her arm, then her body, or into her body and then her arm, probably, or leg or whatever. Right. They passed through and went through, 2 bullets went through and made multiple holes. These guys don't give a fuck. They're bragging about how good they shot a U.S. citizen after ramming into her car. If this was regular police, right, and there was a shootout, and the case was dismissed, and we found out that the sheriff's department was bragging about how many fucking holes they put in somebody, they would be instantly fired, and the public would be like, hell no. Hell no. Get this motherfucker off the street. He's a goddamn psycho. But because it's ICE, there's nobody holding them accountable.
Martinez, who's recovering from those gunshot wounds, beaming.
It's been hard. Honestly, it's been hard. Like I can't sleep, but now I'm gonna go sleep. I'm gonna go rest.
So the case against Martinez is now over, David, but her attorney said tonight prosecutors are going to hang on to her car. It's now the subject of a separate investigation into the shooting itself. David?
Aaron Katursky tonight. Thanks, Aaron. Tonight, too.
So at least they're holding on to her car, so hopefully something will come from this. But they dogged this woman, said she was a domestic terrorist. They said that she had lashed out at ICE agents. Pam Bondi talked about it. Fucking, what's her name? The press secretary talked about it. Kristi Noem, Tricia McLaughlin, or whatever the fuck her name is. They all talked about how she was a domestic terrorist and had tried to kill ICE agents. They weren't going to take it. They would use deadly force when they were attacked. Turns out that none of that was true. Watch how they treat this guy that's here illegally. By the way, ICE went to Charlotte and they about fucked around and found out themselves. But watch how they treat this guy. What would you do if the police treated you like this? I got to pause it right off the bat, okay? So you can give me a second. I got to pause it right off the bat here in just a second.
Mira cómo me hacen.
Did you see that?
Mi cartera.
He's asking for his papers back. He gave him documentation to prove that he's here legally. He's asking for it back. They open the window and throw it at him. Or open the door and throw it at him.
Mi cartera.
That's his wallet and every card in his wallet.
This video is going to give you a sense for how the federal government you elected allow.
I also want you, when he first starts recording, this is like a clip later on in the video. When he first starts recording, look how this bug-eyed fucking piece of shit lunges at him.
Allows ICE agents to behave. This man was detained by ICE on suspicion of being in the country illegally. No, I'm sorry. I need to be more specific because what happened is that this man was picked up after ICE agents profiled him because he looks and sounds Hispanic. Then he was forced into a federal law enforcement vehicle and his status was eventually confirmed to be lawful. And this is how ICE treated him. He was clearly handcuffed. And as these federal agents...
Did you see it? Watch this when he first starts recording here.
And he was forced into a
watch this guy
vehicle, and his status was eventually.
It's almost like he's lunging for the phone at first, while they're unhandcuffing him. They just unhandcuffed enough to where he could get his phone out and start recording.
Confirmed to be lawful, and
watch this guy.
How ICE treated him. He was clearly handcuffed, and as these federal.
Did you see him come after the phone? He's coming after the phone immediately.
To a federal law enforcement vehicle, and his status was eventually confirmed to be lawful. And this is how ICE treated him. He was clearly handcuffed, and as these
because they didn't have their mask up, because they weren't fucking hiding, because they didn't know he was going to be recording.
Federal agents discovered that.
That's what made them mad, right? Because they got recorded without their mask on. The guy got his phone out immediately, as he should do, whenever dealing with police, especially fucking ICE. He lunges at him. That's what makes him mad. Then they throw his shit on the ground.
They could not arrest him. They discarded him like yesterday's newspaper. And when he asked for the stack of documents and cards that they had clearly removed from his wallet, this is how they reacted. They threw them on the ground as they left the scene of their own crime. They discarded this man's belonging like they discarded him. A move clearly designed to humiliate him and to establish these small men's dominance.
They don't think that they're other people. I wouldn't do that to anybody. They don't think they're humans. Or they're not going to treat them like... I wouldn't do that to anybody. Like, we would have to... Not somebody that I fucking barely know or just know. Like, there would have to be such a buildup. I'm not saying I would never do it. There'd have to be such a buildup. Like, we are fucking sworn enemies before I throw your shit on the ground.
Because these are small men acting under color of law. Oh, and do me a favor and go back and look at this guy's reaction when he discovers that his victims was recording everything. His instinct is to lunge forward. This is not law enforcement. This defies the most basic...
Say, now they got all their masks up.
Concept of reasonable suspicion. This is unchecked power that puts men, women, and children and our democracy in danger. And it needs to stop.
There's actually an agent that I found. Hold on, check this out. I'll have to grab a link, so it'll take me just a second, but... hold on just a second. There was a video. I want to show you. There's one ICE agent that's fucking proud, bro. He don't give a fuck. No. And I'll show you why as soon as I can find this video. Sorry, I'm having to go through my watch history, but I've got it somewhere. He's in an SUV, and they're on the side of the road. I remember it. Because I found somebody in the comments that went to school with him. That's how I got his name and found some other stuff about him. I can show you something else while I keep looking. It's going to take me a minute. What about this U.S. citizen who's just talking shit, basically, which is well within his First Amendment right?
What's up, brother? What's going on? What's up with you? Watch out, man. What y'all on with me? I don't know what they on with me, bro. I got cameras. I got cameras, y'all tweaking. You got the right to what? Y'all got the right to what? I got cameras.
Clearly, this guy's a U.S. citizen. The fuck they think they're doing here other than trying to bully somebody?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
Fucking insane. All right. Let's start with this ICE agent. This is the proud one.
What you doing, bro? Keep it moving. What do you think I'm doing? Keep it moving. Why you getting the people, huh? Why you getting the people? Why am I getting them? Yeah. They're here illegally. Who builds the places that we live in? Who moving? What? On the road. What you gonna do about it? Huh? Want to find out? Do it. Come on. Come on, let's do it.
You want to find out?
I don't know papers. What's up? All right. So are you telling me you're not gonna move? If we need to leave, you're gonna continue to block the roadway. Is that what you're saying? You're not leaving right now. What's up? What you gonna do about it? Well, when I do, I don't got paper, buddy. Make sure you don't block the road, all right? Well, we'll see if this truck goes on top of you. What's up? Oh yeah. What's up? So what are you saying? I don't know. You take it however you want to take it, buddy.
I'm gonna take it exactly how it sounds.
Take it. What you gonna do about it? Huh? You think I'm scared of you?
Keep moving.
What? There's not a more of us coming right now.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see what we're about to do right now.
Charlotte about to find out, right?
You better find out about Charlotte.
Charlotte's about to find out, right?
You don't know what's up about Charlotte. What you gonna do about it? Hey, I'm talking to you.
This guy doesn't wear a mask, and you're going to see that in a second.
Come on.
A federal agent got caught with his mask down in Charlotte, North Carolina. This good citizen gave him a piece of his mind.
It was full
Now, this is a second clip, but we'll go ahead and watch it.
of garbage. You put a food drive flyer on it. The flyer doesn't say this isn't garbage. Took food from people to put it in the garbage and then blamed the protesters. It doesn't seem like you're doing against ICE.
What you doing, bro?
Keep moving. What do you think?
All right, so this guy, I found in the comments, it says, damn, this is Rommel Flores. I used to hang out with him back in the day in San Diego. He's been a border patrol agent for a long time. He's a huge MAGA guy. I hate what he's doing now, but back then he was pretty cool. And I thought, well, maybe somebody's just making this up, right? So you type in Rommel Flores, and the first thing that comes up, this federal agent, a CBP agent who is working with ICE, not only has a public profile, but he has a verified account, meaning he has submitted his government-issued ID to Meta, Facebook, to confirm his identity. Rommel Flores is one of the agents currently targeting the city of Chicago. So he's fucking posing for pictures and shit in Chicago, right at the Bean sculpture. He's fucking proud of his shit, dude. He's fucking proud of his shit. He for sure. Like, he's not trying to hide behind a mask at all. We also had the North Carolina ICE invasion. They're hitting Charlotte hard right now.
Border Patrol under Donald Trump invaded Charlotte over the weekend, and they're in the Triangle now in other parts of North Carolina. Let's ask the basic questions. What actually happened? What did this accomplish? And what was really the goal? First, let's just look at what we're dealing with here. These guys are rolling up in armored personnel carriers, gas masks, full combat fatigues, helmets, loaded machine guns, zip ties. It looks like they're about to storm Fallujah. These guys are acting out every action hero fantasy they've ever had. Check out this dude. He's just carrying around a loaded M16 assault rifle. But he's not storming Tora Bora. He's just standing outside the Home Depot. And this whole look is part of their goal. We're going to get back to that. You'll notice that all these guys are wearing face masks, and they're wearing face masks because they don't want to be identified or held accountable, either by their fellow citizens or the law. That's part of their goal as well. This whole thing is not a law enforcement action in the way we understand that in America. This is a militarized invasion of a U.S. city by a federal armed paramilitary force. It's exactly the kind of nightmare scenario that conservatives have been warning us about for years, except now they're the ones actually doing it. If Ronald Reagan were around to see this, he'd become a Democrat. This here's in Plaza Midwood. This lady honked her horn at a Border Patrol truck, and in response, they chased her down Central Avenue and blocked and surrounded her car in her driveway. This guy here waves his loaded assault rifle in her face, breaks the glass on her car, drags
all she did was follow them and blow her horn.
her out and zip ties her and throws her in the back of a car. They released her several hours later, but this lady is a U.S. citizen and she was arrested and her property destroyed for doing nothing. Or this dude, Latino U.S. citizen, Border Patrol agents surround his car, break his car window, drag him out and force him to the ground for doing nothing. Or this lady, they throw her to the ground as she screams that she's a U.S. citizen. Another bunch of agents stormed a church and grabbed one of their members while he was doing yard work. So what did this accomplish? The best information we have right now is that the Border Patrol made 200 arrests in Charlotte over 3 days. That includes all those U.S. citizens they picked up for doing nothing. So far, they've only named 44 as having any criminal record whatsoever, and that includes shoplifting and driving with an expired registration.
There's no evidence whatsoever. There's lots of foreigners that are funded by other countries to do damage. There's zero evidence of that.
This whole operation cost taxpayers millions of dollars. They basically shut down a lot of Charlotte for days. And in a city of 1 million people with hundreds of Border Patrol agents, they picked up 44 people with any criminal record at all. So what was this really all about? It's not about immigrants, and it's sure as shit not about safety. It's about making people afraid. These guys want you to fear them, and they are having a great time playing cowboy in big trucks and big guns and helicopters. Protect your neighbors. Tell these guys to get the fuck out of North Carolina. And most importantly, remember how you feel now when it's time to go vote. The U.S. Border Patrol.
And then we had this lady in her nightgown. Is this the one? Is this it? No, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Here it is. So basically, she had a couple of Hispanic fellows that they had hired to put up their Christmas lights. Okay? And ICE just shows up fucking randomly, pops out of this goddamn van and starts questioning them on her property. She sees it from her window, drinking her coffee because it's first thing in the morning, in her nightgown. So she comes running out with a firearm to tell them to get the fuck off her property.
Reba, tell me what happened this morning in your front yard.
We had 2 Hispanic workers decorating our Christmas tree, which is right behind us, and Border Patrol rolled up on the sidewalk here. 2 guys.
And they leave. It's private property, right? They don't have a warrant. What the fuck are you doing here?
Popped out, fully armed, with all their gear. And they began speaking in Spanish. My 2 guys, one of them was up on a ladder, actually near the top where the lights are. Get the hell out of my yard! And he was just,
get the hell out of my yard.
Kind of at that point frozen.
They're gonna fuck around and find out in some of these southern places. It's just a lot. It's a lot different culture about private property and being near somebody's house and people with fucking guns. It's sad to say somebody's gonna end up getting shot, but it's not like ICE already hasn't been fucking shooting people.
And on the ladder, and the other guy was standing down here holding.
Look at him. For him. Look at him. One guy's on a ladder, the other guy's straightening out the roll of lights. These guys are just trying to fucking question them.
I had mine.
It's almost like they've been instructed. If you see a brown person, get out and start putting pressure on them. Why would they just roll up to this stop sign? Get out and fucking start questioning. And then this lady's like, get off my fucking property. They're like, oh, sorry, we're leaving.
Safety weapon on phone. And I just started recording him. They left.
Got my safety weapon and a phone. Hold on.
Safety weapon on. Standing down here holding lights for him. I had my safety weapon on phone. And I just started recording him. They left.
Seeing Customs and Border Patrol protection on your property. How did you feel?
Absolutely terrifying. I was sitting on my steps drinking coffee. I was half asleep. I was not dressed. I'm
a veteran, not a sucker or a loser. Vote vets.
I was concerned about this happening. We've got great people here. I'm sure there's some bad people. There's bad people everywhere. It's a great city. And nobody's going to regret moving here if you come here with the right kind of heart. And that includes our immigrants. And that's why some of them come here.
Reba, tell me what happened this morning in your front yard.
Good job, Grandma. In your nightgown. You nailed it. All right, let's talk about Trump's hissy fit, I guess. I can close those 2. Trump's hissy fit is all because veterans and people of like that worked in national security that are now congressmen and women basically came on and did a advertisement that says, hey, just reminding you, if you're a member of the military, you don't have to follow unlawful, unconstitutional, or illegal orders, which there's literally nothing wrong with that. I could say that. You can say that. It's day one shit you learn when you join the military, right? You have to follow all lawful orders by those appointed above you, but you don't follow unlawful orders. In fact, if you get brought to court over something you were ordered to do, it is not a valid defense to say, I was ordered to do it. Okay? It's called the Nuremberg defense. It does not stand up in court. If you realize it's something that's outside of the legality or the Constitution or whatever, and you still do it, you cannot use as a defense, I was ordered to do it. My superior told me, to do it, so you can't. That's not a valid defense. You will still be in trouble for all of that. And you're briefed on this as soon as you join the military. It's like one of the first things. So Trump has a fucking meltdown over it, but here's the post, the original video.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to
I'm not sure you're the expert we're going to be listening to when you can't even spell the word enemy.
speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
Must refuse illegal orders.
Yes, you're actually required. You're required to refuse. If you want to stay on the legal side of the law, like saying you can't murder someone because they don't like your shoes or whatever, right? That's a statement. You must not murder someone because they said something mean to you.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard
and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force.
Now, this comes on the tail of I think it was the New York Times investigation or research, I guess, that more calls than ever are going to nonprofits that are dedicated to answering questions for service members about what is constitutional, what's not constitutional, legal advice on taking potentially unlawful orders, okay? Illegal orders. That story came out about a week ago. We talked about it on the show. This comes on the tail of that. So obviously there's relevant information here that people need to know. Like, first of all, you'll be held liable. Second of all, you're not required to follow unlawful orders.
Vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Don't give up the ship. It's a Navy saying, but don't give up the ship.
I'm Senator Alyssa.
All right, so that happens. Now, when this comes out, Trump shares it on Truth Social and claims that Democrats are advocating for treason, blah, 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 whatever. So he has his little meltdown, and then he starts retruthing a bunch of people. So he isn't actually saying anything. He starts retruthing a bunch of people, which is like a retweet. And here's some of those. It says, can someone ban the retard in chat? It says, he says, these are some of the reposts. He shares a Washington Examiner post that is this video. And it says, Democratic veterans in Congress urge service members to refuse unspecified unlawful orders. So he shares that and he posts this. It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set. President DJT. Then he starts retruthing people. These are the retruths. It says, why aren't they under arrest for sedition, thrown out of their offices? Enough is enough. It's called seditious conspiracy, and every one of them should be frog marched out of their homes at 3 a.m. with Fox News cameras filming the whole thing. Next. I think they should be charged with sedition. Also, save those tapes and run them when the next demo commie is in office. Next, domestic terrorists, Democrats always causing chaos and destruction, destroying people's lives. Next, anything these traitors disagree with is what they consider an illegal order. They are all a disgrace to their uniforms. Up next, and they can be brought to justice under the UCMJ, get busted down or dishonorably discharged, and lose their career and benefits. Step right into that shit. That's the ticket. The next person says, and he's reposting all these. If they don't follow orders, they should be fired. Next person. The Dems are getting closer and closer to being on their way out. Next person is a long one. It says, Those Democrat veterans took the same oath I did to defend this country from domestic enemies. It's a lifetime commitment. What should they do? What should the American people do when the domestic enemy is them? Al-Qaeda is a foreign enemy who declared war on this nation on 9/11/2001. They never sued for peace. So when Obama was giving aid to Al-Qaeda Libyan rebels in Benghazi, and the veteran Democrat Congress members were part of that cover-up, it's no wonder they are now asking members of our military to commit treason on their behalf. That was another repost. Traitors, hang them. George Washington would. He shares an account called P78, which is just a big red iron cross. Lori DT says, unlawful is the key word, folks. Unlawful. Sandra Penn says, indict them all. Daryl Sharp says, sedition. Pengal 82 says, insurrection, treason. And he shares it again. He shares the whole story again. This is Trump's own words. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up. ? President DJT. Now that starts going viral because basically reposting this is him agreeing with it, right? And a lot of them said they should be put to death. They should be hanged, firing squad. They should be shot. They should be whatever. But as if that wasn't going far enough, he then makes this post. Seditious behavior punishable by death. Now, that's his own words. He's not reposting somebody. He's not retweeting somebody. His own words. Seditious behavior punishable by death. Donald Trump is calling for the death of sitting Congress members because they said you don't have to follow unlawful orders. They didn't say don't follow his orders. They didn't say his orders are unlawful. They said you don't, which is basic fucking military common sense. All they're doing is reminding people like, hey, you know this already. You don't have to follow unlawful orders. Every bit of that's fine. And he's calling for their death. So then we have some responses here. It's just wild that he would do this. Obviously, inching this up. By the way, before, if you called somebody a Nazi or said that they had Nazi-like ideas or this was Christian nationalists or they shouldn't be allowed, that was basically inciting violence against them. But now, saying, hey, you don't have to follow unlawful orders, it's okay for the president to say seditious behavior, they should be put to death. Just so everybody's clear on the timeline here. Right? Because we called Trump a Nazi, we basically pulled the trigger to have Charlie Kirk catch one in the throat. But Trump saying, hang them, no, that's fine. That's 100% fine.
Executed simply for reminding our service. This morning, President Donald Trump threatened to have me arrested and executed simply for reminding our service members of their oaths to follow the Constitution and to defend the rule of law. I've taken many oaths throughout my life as a combat veteran, a paratrooper, an Army Ranger, and now as a member of Congress. That is a lifetime oath for me. I will never stop defending it and upholding that sacred obligation. It's very telling that President Trump and those around him think it's criminal simply for asking people to follow the law. This moment requires moral clarity. Every American, regardless of your background, should unite and reject his calls for political violence. This is a moment that requires leadership. I intend to uphold my obligation, my oath, and to lead. Don't give up the ship. This morning,
By the way, there was a guy, I've already been in a couple arguments about this. I got the senators responding, or some of them responding. But there's a guy that's like, oh, so what they did was treason, seditious behavior, blah, 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 because Trump has a legal team, and then it goes to, the Department of Defense, they have a legal team, then it goes to the generals, and they have a legal team, and they're looking through it, and JAG's looking through it, and by the time it gets down to such and so the guy actually pulling the trigger, then there's no way that it could be an unlawful order. They've already checked, rechecked, blah, blah, blah. Then how do unlawful orders happen? Because they do. Illegal orders happen. If we take your premise that it gets checked at every level by an attorney, then how does an illegal order ever fucking happen? Because they do. We know they do. There's been cases surrounding them. There's been these refused. That's been upheld in court. There's been all these crazy. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was one around burning of Qurans in Afghanistan one time. That was deemed an illegal order. That just happened a few years ago, right? Like, so if we take your premise that every level gets checked by lawyers, then this could never fucking happen, but it still does, clearly. And you're being fucking obtuse, okay? Donald Trump is probably not going to be the one that sends the specific order that's illegal. Donald Trump is going to send something like, hey, we need to target and stop narco-terrorists, right? Then Pete Hegseth is not going to be the one that sends the illegal order, right? He's going to say, hey, the president wants us to target. The generals are not going to be the one that... It's going to be someone in your chain of command that makes a decision to target a boat that you're not sure if they are narco-terrorists. You don't know if they're on a vacation or what, and we're just going to be like, well, we got to call it because there's a lot of pressure to target these boats, right? The command to actually pull the trigger, drop the bomb, very rarely comes from the highest echelon. They're just giving out blanket orders. So you're being intentionally obtuse, and this guy's like, well, I was in the Marine Corps and the Army, and I've got 2 special law degrees, and I was a cop, and I know about... No, you don't, obviously. It doesn't matter what you think or what you say or what your accolades are. The statement still stands. 100% accurate. You do not have to follow unlawful, illegal, unconstitutional commands. Fucking retards.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, former CIA officer. Earlier today, President Trump threatened myself and a number of other service and veteran lawmakers with arrest, trial, and death because he didn't agree with a video we put out this week. This really isn't about those of us who made the video. This is about who we are as Americans and how we're going to engage with people who we disagree with. I would hope that people of all backgrounds, Democrat, Republican, Independent, would agree that threatening death for people you disagree with is beyond...
You're going to watch this again. I'll be right back.
...we are as Americans. I love this country. It has given me everything, everything. And I refuse to believe that this is the new normal. I refuse to believe that we're going to use fear and intimidation against people we disagree with. And I'm not going to be forced away from speaking up on behalf of my country. I swore an oath to the Constitution many times, most recently less than a year ago as a senator. To the Constitution, not to any one man, not to any one president. And I abide by that oath. For me, I believe in the power of this country and that we are better than our current politics represent, and I refuse to be intimidated out of defending the country I love. Senator Alyssa...
Imagine any other modern day president getting away. I understand, like back in the fucking 1800s, there was probably a president at one time or whatever. It's like, hey, if you do that, you're going to be sentenced to death. Imagine any other modern president saying that the opposing parties, political representatives in Congress, should be put to death. Fucking insane, dude. It's not that one. Let me see. What was that under? Give me just a second to find it. Here's an example of an unlawful order they already had to fucking ignore under Trump term 1.
Give a direct order to deploy. He's going to finally give a direct order to deploy paratroopers into the streets of Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking with weapons and bayonets. And this would be horrible.
What specifically was he
saying? That is true,
the U.S.
Robert.
military should do to these protesters?
He says, can't you just
good point?
Just shoot them in the legs or something? And he said,
Trump, term one, wanted to not only deploy the military, but wanted to shoot protesters. Protesters protesting against him. He wanted to shoot them in the legs.
suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
The commander-in-chief was suggesting that the U.S. military...
Was it Milley at the time? Somebody had to tell him, like, hey, no, we can't. That's illegal.
Shoot protesters.
Yes, in the streets of our nation's capital. That's right. He's going to finally give a direct order to deploy.
And then probably one of the best responses is in this thread as well. It's not that one. It's this guy.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and as a former leader who spent 24 years in service to this country, I think it's important to remind everyone that we teach our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Space Guardians, Coast Guardsmen, and members of our National Guard that if they are ever given an order that is unlawful, illegal, or immoral, it is their duty to refuse those orders. This isn't rocket science. We have a wannabe dictator in office that thinks that anyone who doesn't agree with his cruel and evil ways should somehow be prosecuted or sentenced to death. This is what happens when we elevate a criminal to the highest office in the land. Donald Trump is literally calling for the executions of elected officials because they are reminding our military that they,
by the way, retired major here,
choice to oppose
20 plus years.
Our country deserves better than a wannabe dictator. Remember your oaths. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.
Now, when he made this video,
Retired Richard Ojeda here,
it pissed off a lot of MAGA, but I found his account on Twitter because he made a follow-up to it. And this is the one that's probably the best explanation here that exists.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and apparently I pissed off MAGA land yesterday. They've been crying all over the internet, and even libs of TikTok, a 4 million strong clown parade, decided to throw a full-scale meltdown over something they didn't even understand. So let me start by saying this. The people running that page are keyboard warriors, basement dwellers, who think they're qualified to lecture a combat veteran about duty, honor, and the oath I swore. If they want to get worked up because an actual veteran is standing up for the Constitution he pledged his life to defend, they can kiss my ass. Now that that's out of the way, let me set the record straight. I would never tell members of the United States military to refuse lawful orders from Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth or anybody else. I served 24 years in the United States Army. I followed orders. I respected the chain of command. That is why I made it as far as I did. Nobody understands the importance of following lawful orders better than I do. But here's what the libs of TikTok left out. Every service member learns on day one that under Article 92 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, you can be prosecuted for following an unlawful order. That's not politics. That's not me being dramatic. That is the law, period. And right now, I'm sorry to say that these questions are not theoretical. We have boats in the Caribbean firing on people. We have governors like Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker suing over what may be unlawful attempts to deploy soldiers against Americans who are peacefully protesting. We have senators and members of Congress raising real concerns about the legality of these actions, and Trump MAGA is saying they should hang for it. So my point was simple, and I will even say it slower for the folks typing with 2 fingers from their parents' basement. I don't want hardworking men and women in the United States military to end up prosecuted years from now because the draft dodger in the White House ordered them.
It's to protect the service members. It's literally to protect the service members. You can be brought up on charges. If you fuck up, you can be brought up on charges. And anybody can say, hey, if it's unlawful, don't follow. If they would have said, don't follow his orders, or his orders are unlawful and you shouldn't follow them, that's different. It still doesn't deserve death and all this fucking bullshit he's doing. That's different than saying, I just want to remind you, if If a order is unlawful or unconstitutional, you do not have to follow it. You're expected not to follow it.
To break the law. I want our service members protected. I want them safe. I want them to come home with their careers, their freedom, and their honor intact. If libs of TikTok wants to throw a tantrum over that, let them cry. I've fought real battles. Their little snowflake feelings don't scare me at all. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.
I like this guy's page. I just stumbled upon it through all this, but I do like his page. There's a couple more responses. I don't know. It's just insane what Trump's doing. Which one was I on? Probably number 4. This motherfucker. Trump just announced via social media that he's ending via Truth Social that he's fucking ending the temporary protected status for Somalis. And it's irrelevant what he says. Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. Then he goes on to say, I am, as President of the United States, hereby terminating effective immediately the temporary protected status, TPS program. It's the TPP program, whatever, for Somalis in Minnesota. You can't just end it for Somalis in a specific state. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of the great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over, President DJT. There's only like 700 people in the whole goddamn country that benefit from this program, by the way. I highly recommend you stop spamming my chat with the same goddamn thing. If I want to watch Ryan McBeth's video, I will. What the fuck? Why the fuck would he just randomly announce that on Truth? That's the official platform to announce that we're sending all Somalis back that are here on temporary protected status. I think there's like 700 or 800. Hold on, I'll find it. Why do you randomly try to defend him? Holy fuck. We're also on, what was this? I forgot about this one. Hold on. I did that one. Got that one. Number 4.
Members of Congress to the President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed. This is not normal. We cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country. Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy right now, especially those that were specifically targeted by this social media post. Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a fucking side. If you are a Republican in Congress, if you are a Republican governor, maybe it's time to draw a line in the sand.
I don't care. They're allowed to say it. First of all, anybody's allowed to say it. They're allowed to say whatever the fuck they want. The bigger story here is that Trump called for their fucking death. I don't care if you'd rather them stay quiet. That still doesn't justify Trump calling for their death.
And say that under no circumstances should the President of the United States be calling on his political opposition to be hanged. We are at a very dangerous moment right now. The President is engaged in the wholesale incitement, endorsement.
Especially while they're trying to play this Democrats killed Charlie Kirk bullshit.
Rationalization of political violence in this country. This is a very slippery slope that we are on. This is a moment for people to step up, for Republicans to step up, for business leaders.
What they're doing now is 100% a fucking war crime. You cannot. They're trying to justify it. So there was a memo from the Office of Legal Defense or Office of Legal Counsel that said, oh, well, the way we're justifying this is we're considering the narco ships a terrorist as part of a terrorist organization, that their ships and drugs are equipment, and we're not targeting the fucking people that are on board, the poor people that they fucking bribe into trying running these ships, right? Instead of going after the leaders of these drug cartels, we're taking out the lowest of the lowest fucking drug runners, but we're not targeting them. We're targeting their equipments. But several countries have already called it out as an outright war crime. You can't take a drug dealer and just be like death and blow them to pieces with no evidence whatsoever.
To step up. Anybody who has a voice or a soapbox in this country needs to draw a line in the sand and say that it is not acceptable for the President of the United States to call on the murder of his political opposition. The President of the United States.
Not to mention that while we've got all this shit going on in Venezuela and the narco terrorists and all that shit, we accidentally invaded Mexico. Did you guys see that on the news? And the Mexican army was digging up the goddamn, the fucking shit that we planted in their beach. Let's see. I've got the video for it.
So this has to be the craziest story I've ever reported on before. So the United States...
I just saw the Mexican military digging up U.S. signs off their beach, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Accidentally invaded Mexico on Monday, apparently. So U.S. troops stormed a beach near the Rio Grande, pounded Department of Defense restricted area signs into the sand. And yes, by the way, they read Department of Defense, not Department of War.
It says restricted area. The Department of Defense property has been declared a restricted area by the authority of the commander in accordance with the provisions of the directive issued by the Secretary of Defense pursuant to the provisions of Section 21, Internal Security Act of 1950. Unauthorized entry is prohibited. All persons and vehicles entering herein may be detained and searched, photographing or making notes, drawings, maps, or graphic representations of the area or its activities are prohibited unless specifically authorized by the commander. Any such material found in the possession of unauthorized persons will be confiscated. Then it says the same thing in Spanish.
And then they claimed the land for the commander, and this set off a full-blown standoff with armed Mexican security forces who rushed in on trucks mounted with machine guns. And so then Mexico quickly tore the signs
Fox News isn't covering the Epstein files anyways.
Out of the ground, and they said that the site was clearly their territory, and then the cleanup happened from the U.S. government. The Pentagon admitted that the troops miscalculated the boundary. The U.S. Embassy in Mexico released a statement saying, and I quote, changes...
They were off by like 12 or more miles, and they said it was because the water was lower or higher or some shit.
Changes in water depth and topography altered the perception of the international boundary's location. By the way, did they just admit to the effects of climate change? And the Pentagon added that its contractors will, quote, coordinate with appropriate agencies to avoid confusion in the future. All of this keeps unfolding as Trump continues to threaten Mexico and escalate tensions. This is yet another crazy international incident, and it's just a reminder of how reckless things have become with incompetent and insane people running our country. Spread the word and follow along for more. So this has to be the craziest story I've ever reported on before.
How do we accidentally
invaded Mexico on Monday?
Military's looking real good now, huh? And they're trying to run this weird sideline defense. Megyn Kelly says that the worst part of the Epstein files is that Trump may have fondled a fucking 13-year-old girl, and just tries to fucking push through that. Like no big deal. The worst thing they got is that he fondled a girl. Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad.
There is not a single woman who has said, yes, I was trafficked by Epstein to Trump. There's one who says Trump walked into a house with Epstein and allegedly fondled her upon meeting her. Okay, that's the best they have so far.
Yeah. This is also after she tried the bullshit where it's like, it's not like he was into 8-year-olds. He was like into 14, 15-year-olds, and that's different. What?
And they're waiting. There is not a single woman who has said, yes, I was trafficked by Epstein to Trump. There's one who says Trump walked into a house with Epstein and allegedly fondled her upon meeting her. Okay, that's the best they have so far. And they're waiting for some sort of smoking gun in these materials. So I think Trump did his 180 because he had to. He knew he was going to lose it. There is not a single woman.
Why are they moving to justifying this shit? What is this? They're trying to justify the age. They're trying to justify fondling. It's so strange.
Usually when Donald Trump has some kind of accomplishment, he's not shy about talking about it in front of the cameras. He does more public events than any president we've ever covered. And yet something weird happened today. He has a new piece of legislation, the subject of tremendous interest. It passed by massive bipartisan majorities unanimously in the Senate, only one no vote in the House. He didn't want to do the bill signing in public. Didn't want to do it in front of reporters with the, shutters clicking and take some questions. No, he retreated to somewhere in the White House where he issued a very long screed on social media railing against the Democrats, talking about all his accomplishments.
Yes, he flipped out. That's how you know that he did not like signing the Epstein bill.
Calling it a witch hunt that's been divisive, and that this latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats just as all the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Usually when Donald Trump has some kind of accomplishment, he's not shy about talking about it in front of the cameras. He does more public.
I'm trying to find the exact post. I'll read it to you. It's a pretty bad ramble.
Something weird.
Here it is. So you can tell when he doesn't like doing something, he goes on these late night tirades. Here it is. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, minority leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged. By the way, the Hakeem Jeffries thing is such a fucking nothing burger. Hakeem Jeffries hired a company to get donations for him, and they blast out an email to all known donators. And one of them was Jeffrey Epstein. And he got this email that says, hey, you could donate and hang out at a dinner, Hakeem Jeffries, as he runs for re-election. It's such a nothing burger. It's ridiculous. But Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett and many more, perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their association with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectively the day that they were already voting, right? After he fought it the whole time. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein. Yes, they did. One of the phases, two different phases of the releasing of the documents were under Joe Biden. Nor did they ever even speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try to distance from our amazing victories, including the great big beautiful bill, the great big beautiful tax cut bill. Bullshit. Strong borders, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone. Ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, and creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats just as all the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Sounds like a completely fucking sane human who's just talking about releasing that, right? Doesn't sound fucking weird at all. Sounds like a normal day in the office. Dude, they got to take away his social media or some shit, dude. The best thing that probably could have happened to him was him getting banned off Twitter right after January 6th. Can you imagine some of the unhinged things he would have said while all that shit was going on? He needs to fucking be banned everywhere. Holy shit. Then we have this meeting. Communist mayor of New York City, Zoran Kwame Mamdani, has asked for a meeting. We have agreed that this meeting will take place at the Oval Office on Friday, November 21st. Further details to follow. They had the meeting. And one of the funniest parts, it's Mamdani. My name is Mandami. One of the funniest parts of this meeting is a reporter says, to Mamdani, you've basically called Trump a fascist, right? And now after meeting with him, did you keep it? And he's like, well, I don't know. And Trump's like, you can say yes. You can say yes. And he's laughing and joking. So apparently Mamdani called him a fascist to his fucking face. That's the takeaway from this. And now Trump's kissing his ass for some reason. It's so fucking weird. I don't know if Trump's just like a bitch in person or what's going on here, but Trump's definitely like joking and laughing and saying, I would live in New York City now. He's going to really do it. And the guy's, Mamdani hasn't walked back any point. Like, he's going to tax the rich. He's going to make it more affordable. He's going to do this. But Trump just hours ago was like, the communist Mamdani will destroy New York City. Can't believe they've forgotten 9/11 already. Like, what the fuck? Trump tells him, you can say yes, when they ask him, did you call him a fascist to his face? Yeah, maybe. Getting something else beside the Epstein files on the news. Well, to be fair, Trump only fondled a 13-year-old girl the first time he met her with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know. And it wasn't like she was 3. She was 13. So that's a full-grown greyhound. In fact, that's a greyhound dog so old that it would be put down at a racetrack. That's how old it is. Basically an elderly greyhound.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices. And the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, that's good for New York, and we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying.
Oh, they are. On Facebook, they are so fucking mad. They are so fucking mad. He let a communist in our White House. Like, they're fucking pissed. And then some of them are like, 5D chest. Trump actually loves communism or some shit. Like, I don't know.
Said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year, so that's good for New York, good for everybody.
But it's not. And that's been proven and proven and proven. You've been even asked that directly, and so has your press secretary asked directly. They changed, and Kevin Hassett, they changed the list.
But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come.
Trump just said before the election, if he was elected, that he was going to cut off all federal funds to New York City. And said, vote Cuomo.
25% less than last year, so that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president. And as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated.
Trump's the type of person I feel like, unless you just come out and say, you're a fucking bitch, or something like super direct, he'll say like, you can't tax these rich people because they're going to leave. And then Mamdani will say something like, we're raising a 2% tax. If they leave, they leave. But we've got to, they spent more money campaigning against me than I was even going to tax them. And Trump's like, oh yeah, he finally sees it my way. Like, Trump's just listening long enough to know when he can fucking talk again. He doesn't comprehend anything.
The conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I had a question for you, and then also one for Mayor.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting?
Why are you calling him a communist?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about.
He said, are you going to retract this fascist, blah, blah, blah rhetoric? He said, we're very clear about our views.
The meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the...
He didn't back off of it.
...serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
I might be called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to work.
I think Trump's backing off all of his, and I don't think Mamdani is backing off any of his.
Together, yes, please.
Mr. President,
good.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position, and Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like what do you say for the Middle state of Lebanon, and what is your next move to push for disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and frankly everybody else, and we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to $2 trillion or $1 trillion, it's a lot. We have $20 or $21 trillion. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem, and Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now for the first time peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years, and now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen. Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely, and if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think
we desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again 2 major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that. I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President, you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both
have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions. I want for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first of all, to the mayor-elect, you're both from different parts of the political perspective. You're both populists. I just wondered to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media, he's inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often, politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about, as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices, because we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering the rates.
Absolutely.
And last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. The Prime Minister's a good man.
I think Trump's hurting his political support system more than Mamdani, right? Mamdani's kind of the outsider and went to show and get all these accolades from Trump. The whole right wing right now is all parroting that's a communist, it's all going to fail, blah, blah, blah. And then we have a video of Trump fucking kissing his ass. Like, I think it hurts the other people, the other members of the Republican Party more than it would ever hurt Mamdani for going there, which most people basically knew he's going to have to speak to him at some point.
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky about your plan?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president.
Even yesterday, Carolyn Levitt said, it speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House. And now Trump's backing off all that shit.
It's a shame, and I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy-producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. We have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. It's so sad. So many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers, and it goes on and on. And I think they're getting reasonably close, but. I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including India, Pakistan. You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many. And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship.
It's also very telling that Trump thinks you can say anything in a campaign. Because they asked him at one point in this, I don't know where it's at, but they asked him that somebody running for governor of New York. I don't remember who it was, but somebody running for something. I think it was governor of New York, said that he called Mamdani a jihadist. And they asked Trump about this, and they say, do you think he's a jihadist? Would you agree with that? And he says, no, I don't. But then he follows that up with, she was just out there campaigning. And you say things sometimes in a campaign. Trump believes that you can literally fucking say any goddamn thing in a campaign and just write it off because it was campaign.
Relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really is on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame
the worst fucking terrorist he's ever had there is the goddamn Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia that was just there a day or two ago. They did 9/11.
person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25. Think of that, 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
What happened to I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of the House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Kim Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focus very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing. I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, well, President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay.
There it is. Are you affirming you think President Trump's a fascist? And he was like, well, I spoke about it. And Trump's like, it's okay. You can say yes.
It's easier than explaining it that way.
I wanted to ask you also about this.
I think it's fine for them to be skeptical. If things start immediately changing or he starts bowing or kowtowing to Donald Trump's demands, obviously it's okay to be skeptical. I wouldn't write anything off right off the bat, but Trump does do anything he can to benefit him. But it seems like he's fucking undercutting his party so hard here. Their stance has been, we got a communist in New York, a communist, a fucking Muslim communist and jihad and 9/11 and blah, blah, blah. And he's just fucking throwing them under the goddamn bus.
Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of...
Well, he'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it...
He's talking about the crazy fucking 28-point plan that they made about Ukraine without even Ukraine's input. It was only Russia and the United States making this plan. And it's basically Russia's wish list for Ukraine.
That the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine.
Well, at some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago.
Yeah, but you can't convince MAGA that. The government shouldn't have fucking stake in any of these goddamn private companies according to their platforms. But as long as it makes Trump money.
2 years ago, the ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been a good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that to be a question that both of you could answer.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President,
we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. It's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's...
If nothing else, they've got to include Ukraine in the fucking discussions. Like, what the fuck is this?
It's very accurate, and they're coming down high. They were, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration, and we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something in it?
Fund Ukraine. Stop funding goddamn Argentina.
Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. He does not talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law and local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want. We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. And most recently, we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
What we did is we discussed crime more than ICE per se. We discussed crime, and he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime, and I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And we actually people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Mr.
Please. Jack?
I want to know, one of the policies as well that Mayor Montgomery talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or.
Oh, that's amazing. Mom, dummy. Are y'all fucking stupid? Are you that fucking stupid?
White people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys have spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cost.
Yes, are you fucking stupid? Or are you in elementary school? Elon Musk had it right, mom, dummy. God damn.
Continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear, no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only.
He said that tax would fall into different neighborhoods, and a lot of those neighborhoods are just wider.
Fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Please go ahead.
Mr. Montagne, you can't say Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers who are involved in the safety of the city? And President Trump, you threatened to call federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, and we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And, we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being said. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime.
Yeah, that's definitely honesty. Mom, dummy. That's I can see how that's honesty. That's your main point. The fucking comment.
He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down. All things that I agree with. Now we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down. I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today. We'd like to see him come down, ideally by building a lot of additional housing. Yeah. That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President,
okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You've got a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Montagne administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would, especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was.
This kind of helps or builds upon my theory that Trump knows very little about how the government works, about how taxation works, about who pays for what, about housing, about affordability, and someone is feeding him policies. Stephen Miller. And then other countries come in and just flatter him and fucking bulldoze. He's like, America first, America first, America first. And a country comes in and they're like, oh man, you're so rich and famous and we love the gold. We love what you did. And then suddenly he's giving up the fucking everything, giving up the house. I don't know. He's a fucking idiot.
Out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But
it's because they were populist voters. You're both populist candidates.
I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. meeting. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for you, but a very quick one for the mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our
Did you? Well, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. The plane takes you 30 minutes, and driving takes you.
Mr. President, I was wondering if you could clear up some confusion around the Washington Post report. There was this explosive report that the Coast Guard is no longer going to characterize swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. DHS called that a lie and fake news. Can you?
No, that is true, technically. So there's some nuance in this story, okay? It is really fucked up, I think. But basically, swastikas and nooses are no longer the Coast Guard under DHS, right? They're not under the Department of Defense. They're under the DHS, unless they're in a different capacity. But currently, they're under DHS. They are no longer going to classify swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. Now, that doesn't mean they're allowing them or they're promoting them or they're doing away with their classification altogether. Now they're like politically charged symbols or some shit. The difference is why step that down? Why? It's definitely hate symbols. Swastikas and nooses are definitely hate symbols, right? Why even change their classification, first of all? And second of all, now that the prosecution around them or discipline around them or whatever is now at a lower level because they're not hate symbols. So there is some nuance. People are saying, oh, they're just allowing them now. That's not true, right? And secondly, they're still banned, and it changes like when people are charged around these or disciplined around them. So basically, they've been in a scramble to clarify like what their policy is because it got a lot of negative press. It says the internal guidance that ignited the controversy introduced a few changes. The Coast Guard eliminated the term hate incident. Instead, conduct previously handled under that category was referred to as harassment, and only when a specific victim could be identified. The guidance also raised the threshold of disciplinary action by specifying that public displays of extremist symbols would constitute misconduct only if they could be shown to harm good order and discipline, unit cohesion, command climate, or morale or mission effectiveness. Further, the policy also allowed symbols widely identified with oppression or hate to be displayed in private and non-public settings. So you can have your swastika in your private room, including military housing. The policy removed gender identity from the list of protected characteristics altogether, aligning the Coast Guard with Mr. Trump's January executive order barring transgender service. It also required that harassment be severe and pervasive, and judged by a reasonable person. And it went out of its way to note that hazing, even when it involves physical force, can serve a proper military or other governmental purpose. A framing that echoes Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's push to cultivate a tougher warrior ethos. So they got a lot of fucking pushback on that. Now they're saying, just hours after the policy became public, asserting that any display, use, or promotion of symbols like nooses and swastikas will be thoroughly investigated and severely punished. Later that night, the service released an additional memo declaring that divisive or hate symbols and flags are prohibited at Coast Guard workplaces, and even firmer posture. The Coast Guard insisted the new memo was not a reversal, but rather a clarification meant to counter misinformation and reaffirm the service's long-standing stance against extremist imagery. It's weird that they would even step those down. Like, it's so fucking weird.
I don't know anything about it. When was this written?
I think yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people. I know very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters. Beautiful, the most magnificent ship. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them. So I don't know. I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force.
Before, even without a specific victim, if somebody put like a swastika flag up or fucking tied a bunch of nooses, that was automatically a hate incident. They've gotten rid of that, right? Now you have to have a specific victim. It has to be pervasive. It has to be continuous. Like, they've really stepped down that.
And you did peace in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promises we made New Yorkers. And I appreciated the meeting we had. And
he didn't back off the genocide. Israel's committing genocide. We're funding it.
The work that we can do.
I agree that President Trump did do a peace and work hard to make the peace because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere. Do you agree with that?
I appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars. And I also believe that we have to follow through on the international human rights, and I know that still today those are being violated, and that continues to be work that has to be done no matter where we're speaking of.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think leadership is the leader Jeffries, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. Do you consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City. And I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal. Absolutely. I always said, one of the things I would have loved to be someday.
It's bigger than most state governors, right?
Mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. You can go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great.
He's a goddamn retard. It can go great, or I guess a different direction.
Mr. President,
not great.
Does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable, and I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living, and I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. 1 or 2 more. Go ahead. I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries.
That's what he likes. That's what he likes, his attention.
Nobody cared. This meeting.
And I'm telling you, that's how the media could get him to stop treating them like shit, dude. Like this fucking, the calling the reporter piggy. If you don't put the camera on him, he's going to fucking shrivel up and fucking do whatever the fuck you want. He wants the attention.
You people have gone crazy. Outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this in some form?
Because I think he's different. All right? I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way, but I think he's
I didn't hear that question. Hold on.
People in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this in some form?
Oh, just why do you think there's so much exciting around this meeting?
I think he's different. All right? I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way, but I think he's different than, your typical guy runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting, because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point, and he does need the help of the federal government to really succeed, and we're going to be helping him. But he's different than, your average candidate. He came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. Went to start off at 1 or 2, and then I watched. I said, who is this guy?
I'm glad, but girl.
And he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9. Then he went up to 17. I said, this could get a little bit interesting, right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win. It's a great tribute, and it's an amazing thing that he did.
And I'll just add one thing to what the president said. Is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible.
I don't think he gets out of. I mean, maybe he didn't have to do this meeting in person. That's a sign of respect, right? Traveling, doing it in person, but he doesn't get out of. The mayor of New York doesn't get out of a meeting with the president.
Work that was done with the New Deal and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
We have a great portrait of FDR that I found in the vaults that was missing for years. I found it, and I put it up. He's a Democrat.
He personally found it.
Democrat.
Just wandering around.
He said, sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait? It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture comes out good. But it's an amazing portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said that you both spoke about crime.
Yeah.
There are many police officers that come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops? And are you going to require that happens? Would there be some consequences?
Well, I hope it happens, but again, that's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
What's your answer?
Is that I look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They're the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 headcount. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Are you committing to maintaining the same level?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain the 35,000. That's the headcount that we have through the campaign.
And not replace them with caseworkers, social workers.
No, I've said that's the headcount that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And he just retained a great police commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes, we did.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
He retained, I think, somebody that is she's a good friend of some of the people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
Are there still topics that you see this you're disagreeing on in the future? And do you think you'll have more meeting with this?
There will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately he'll convince me, or I'll convince him. It's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see if this city could be unbelievable. If he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you're going to meet more in the future? Do you think you'll meet again in the future?
I think we will. I think we will. I hope we do. I enjoyed the meeting. We had a great meeting. Please.
Mr. President, Republican Lisa Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist.
Here it is. This is jihadist.
Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't. But she's out there campaigning, and you say things sometimes in a campaign. She's a very capable person. But
you say things in a campaign. You can call somebody a fucking jihadist on the campaign?
You really have to ask her about that, but I don't particularly. I think I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again, and I can say again because New York was great. When I came down to Washington initially,
maybe this was the straw that broke the Marjorie Taylor Greene back.
The city was so hot; it was doing great. We were having some telltale signs of problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along, and it went bad. It really went, pretty bad. And he can. I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can bring it back. Now the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before? Which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he can, we'll be out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. I care very deeply about Jewish safety, and I look forward to rooting out anti-Semitism across the 5 boroughs and protecting Jewish New Yorkers and every New Yorker who calls City Hall.
I think it's pretty bad for Trump, not bad for Mamdani. You could be suspicious, right? You just got to watch what he focuses on. Right? Hopefully he keeps his promises and focuses on what he says. And it's a huge test, right? I want him to do well. I want him to do extremely well. It's a test in front of everybody. What is this? Hold on. Oh, that's the, hold on.
You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders.
The U.S. isn't the promised land in any way, shape, or form.
To members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging. We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country. And if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos and it could incite violence and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command. These 3 members of Congress, I will also add, knew exactly what they were doing. You look at Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former member of the CIA. Mark Kelly was a captain in the U.S. Navy. Maggie Goodlander was a naval officer. And notably, she is also the wife of Joe Biden's national security former advisor, Jake Sullivan. And so these members knew what they were doing. They were leading into their credentials as former members of our military, as veterans, as former members of the national security apparatus to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law. I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the Department of Justice and the Department of War to decide.
She got fact-checked by Caitlin Collins. I was hoping it's a longer clip. She gets fact-checked saying, well, they said lawful orders.
President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress? No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president.
Does he want to execute members? And then we have one on the Piggy comment. It's wild that Trump supporters came out and made this whole lie about Peggy being there. He said Peggy. He said, but even the White House is not saying that. Even the fucking White House is not claiming that. And his followers came out because they know it's a fucking lie that she wasn't even there, right? It was Carolyn something something. But his followers preemptively came out and said, "Oh, well, that would be funny," but he said Peggy. But the White House is like, no, they're just dickheads. So he's frank and honest with them. Here's their excuse. What did the president mean when he called a reporter piggy?
When he called a reporter piggy. Look, the president is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves. And I think it's one of the many reasons that the American people...
He's frank and honest. That's why he called a female reporter piggy.
When he called a reporter piggy. Look, the president is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves. And I think it's one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president, because of his frankness. And he calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated with reporters when you lie about him, when you spread fake news about him and his administration. But he also is the most transparent president in history. And he gives all of you in this room, as you all know, unprecedented access. You are in the Oval Office almost every day asking the president questions. And so I think the president being frank and open and honest to your faces, rather than hiding behind your backs, is frankly a lot more respectful than what you saw in the last administration, where you had a president who lied to your face and then didn't speak to you for weeks and hid upstairs and didn't take your questions. So I think everyone in this room should appreciate the frankness and the openness that you get from President Trump on a near daily basis. What did the president mean when he called a reporter piggy? Look, the president is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced...
Like, how did they preemptively come out and decide that we're all just going to fucking lie about this and say it was Peggy Collins? But it wasn't Peggy Collins. Like, she wasn't even present. I don't know. It was very quick. They got on top of that. And you figured it was Catherine Lucy was the woman's name. And you figured maybe the White House, or at least the White House social media accounts, might try pushing that or sharing it, but they didn't. They're just like, oh no, he's just frank, and we're gonna say that's what people like about him, is that he's horrible to women for asking questions. All right, guys. That's it for me. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. If you want to support the show, do it at the link. I guess I still got the link. It's a new link. Support the show, help pay the bills. I'd appreciate it. If you want to. If you want the show to keep going. Fuck it. It doesn't matter to me. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'll be back on the next one. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. I got the electric wrapped up. And what else? I figured out the upstairs electric at the apartment, so I just need the electrician to come out and sign off some things, and then we'll be making progress at work. Other than that, thank you guys for joining us. We had a lot to go over. I even started early, and it's still 2 a.m., or almost 2 a.m. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for joining us. Support the show if you want to, and I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well listen bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating this chip.
Oh, I had the Veterans Day breakfast got canceled at my kid's school because of snow, so we made that up this morning. That's why I wasn't live last night. I had to be at the school at fucking like 7 a.m. Mariah helped set up the thing, and we had a Veterans Day breakfast, and I knew I wouldn't get up if I streamed till 2 or 3 and then didn't go to bed till 4 or 5. So I hung out with the kids this morning, had a biscuit with them.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit.
I've been wore out. Fucking rewiring the whole goddamn office has been a mess.
You ain't seen none yet.
Mostly mentally, because everybody keeps fucking shit up, and I have to come back and fix it.
Bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on.
No, I didn't speak.
This is what
Have a good